Wajak Mshay Nuj, Derek Nipashni, that Wunuj Mount Davidson, that it's Board of Compensation, that Nuggets Hagnud and hence Kumun Sulio, guest Nining and Absteno, company CREECO, President and Davidson, with it was one opinion with Jean, guest that's also Bunhai Davidson, who had this Nigan Pstand Absconi, Board of Compensation, CREECO. Meteen die steeds bed maar dat zei en de badem sin hignan ke dan ik spreek om zo companies en agit staats kest dan how is Sweden has Sulia guys book same gas ke die sin agit staats maar zo een bunke den ne Sulia gan agit sagnut no skumont gauw te wid ga en James Payne skumont im sound hand badem nan kest ba beugen die companies die mianans ke ja but stin ko gest jo de badem sin higno Mse said it's going to stay win guy near to which is the bottom status guy when you he win on JG spreads the it towns guy as na stawem ted go ji jinit skenan gesnyan gest gnot match guy you it town ted go you guy ji spiel guy them chesnana guy you but we at the it town mugabe za ji na ji bed mada to you in the bottom shin hignan gest the meeting gest mi ojumun ji bed mada guy. Greetings, everyone. My name is Derek Neposh. I'm the chairman of the Board of Compensation, and I'm also the president of CREECO. Today, we'll be sharing with you our annual reports from our subsidiaries under CREECO, and we'll also share some highlights from each of the companies, some of the successes, the challenges, and looking at the activity reports of each company. We will also be sharing with you the investment reports, the financial statements from our auditors, and we hope that this information will provide you with useful information, but also information that will educate you in terms of what we do and why we do it here at CREECO and also the Board of Compensation. Naomi Guduksoichi Simon Madatsu Jeji Sigaj Gagon had Stasun Haganot Egniko Kat and how a bed Idabit Sagnut and his Suliao Gestanis Sidad and his Suliao Gestandek Outswida and his Suliao guided you to Migatis in Agats Hatska. Aska Isnagan Jejis Gnot Egnut and Denis Stamps ahead. So on Jejis Gnot Egnut and Denis Stamps and let you who shouldn't have Suliaga, mess with a bun his and cannot an onion and sin hignan. Guess good bad him stadnan, I think but Sodagnut and his Suliao de Inuit Outska, Msega, then this we chew weed a sadness Sulianda. Guess the idea J. Moose dad and his Suliao in any stamps gedges. He Greek Januga, Inuitska, not take notes, we take notes down Nanuka. Said you go we aim with Madatska, a good name to go, which is the Bazum Stagio, when you can against G companies. That's that way, Mio knew the Bazum Monarchist and Buxatananga, I guess, G's Bedmson Muatska, Shoga, to get the wind now, G's Beds, Betas in Mioga, to go to Semono. As part of today's report, we'll be sharing the highlights, as I mentioned. But also, we want to make sure that you can provide us with your questions or comments. There will be a time and place that you can do that. There will be an email address shared on screen where you can submit your questions. So we would appreciate your feedback to us, and there will be a time and place to address your concerns or questions. So with that, we welcome you to our assembly, and we hope you enjoy our presentations, and we wish you all a wonderful day. And Buxatanam said, Mubugunji said, Jisagadskist and Metanana Jibeds and Toyatsu, Jis bet the Bazum Stadatsun said Jisagat. Wajak say Nuds, Agunjis the Bazum Stadago. Board of Compensation dan how a bit spade and hence come on Suliao Nuggets Hatska. Welcome everyone. I will now present the report for the Board of Compensation. In this report, we'll be going over some information related to the structure of the Board of Compensation and the purpose of the Board of Compensation, and some of the results as a result of what our investments, how the performance of investments occurred. Unji sai this is the bottom start out going to not magnud gan hence common suleo dan how it space gestani shigabudu he gestani dabit chat today that nagat ne against common suleo. Precies moet u de bottom start nog en de tatska dan how dan de ko tswits go here. We go with agno to Board of Compensation. We did 1978 I got nistem we got Hagnud go Board of Compensation. We did go to Sweden here. I'm snusnanut net James Payne's come on go. Japan Hagnud net Sulau guys book seat accident Board of Compensation. Jaji Nuggets had new Sulau case, Jaji Mejimanat guess the Jaji Jaji dad and then he stamped in his Sulau Jaji's Buhigwik Jan we notes go. Okay, I gnod magnudum sene Sulau I did Jaji Pagan Hagnud ne Pshin has Sulau Jaji to wait out so new companies with the Gabo Hagnud and CREECO. Ska just say that new companies to con then how when you to go you to Bajamont me no just said you got this to Bajam Stadatska. As many may know, the Cree Nation Government Board of Compensation was created in 1978 as a result of the successful negotiations of the James Bay Northern Quebec Agreement. The Board of Compensation was given the responsibility to preserve, protect, and cultivate the funding that was negotiated under this agreement. As part of these investments, the Board of Compensation had the opportunity to create a holding company, and it was a direct investment to create CREECO back in 1982. Negenop magnudne sulauga nako de down his sulauga gudete in stock market not ignutska we dmatska sega nako is but snagnune sulauga ju sudga memo begunta tau sudne sulau na stawici mionium nimsin higenan gest the bazum stagnon de ni stamt dan how we swedne sulau naget sagnudda. Guess she do na Jaji Pagan hat ne Sulau much can they get now it's got sweet agnots CREECO mean go Jaji with snagnot Jaji tweet sagnodonji companies never with agnico guess they ne go waskagen guys spads gan de guys getting to them when show we go with that as can Gigi stanan as we go bun as she beat at Jojo and G's guess they Meeting Jaji Witmanskest and the BTSU Gaji be touched or which the Gunijni Sinijo Goga. Gestag Gignotenaga mean Jaji Pakan Hayat means Suleon Jaji Stagnuts and the Belgmugnig at the Belshuk de Valdorne quality in. When everything got with Snagnut Gasula as she Gagnon, Minaga, Nipche with Jaji Stagnuts in her. Jag kan nog magnut suleoniga ispod snatska det itautska gunya abej minja tabadum stadatska danga ispod snagnut tigada ni sosmilinga dis but snagnut jisoga gabupska mitin sende itautse jis madne buhagnut maybe some information on the stock market investments. In our reports, you'll see the performance of these investments as of March 31st, 2025. And also in some of the reports, you'll also see the direct investments that the Board of Compensation has made, that benefits our subsidiaries. And this is all for the purpose of diversification, and looking at ways on how we could be self-sufficient, but also look at, the support that we can provide the subsidiaries. CREECO being 100% owned by the Board of Compensation, the subsidiaries will address and report, what type of support that was provided. A good example is Odea is 95% owned by the Board of Compensation. This project is complete, and we're glad to report that the office tenants will be the Cree Nation government. The Board of Compensation has also invested in the expansion of the highly successful hotel in Val-d'Or, Quality Inn and Suites. We're very proud of this project, and the expansion made business sense that there was a need for an expansion to the hotel, and we know that the operations will be successful as they were in the past. We'll also be sharing some information on the disbursement policy results. Close to $7 million was dispersed as part of the investments to the communities as the annual requirements. Eguji nigan stoyu Board of Compensation ga nisha sud nagnud meswani inuit taunt ga senda inuit taunt chidoga. Here we have the Board of Directors, 2 members from each community, and 3 are appointed from the Cree Nation government. Nishtud nagnud ude inuit beche su taunt ga nigan stoga gestioga. Eguji ude Chesavi George Babish, Thomas Washapabano, East Main Lloyd Meapo, Nyan Moses, Mistini Calvin Blacksmith, Robert Jimikin, Nemska Josie Jimikin, Gertie Jolly, Ujabug Modell Cooper, and Reggie Neposh, Waskagnish Samuel McLeod, Darren Wishchi, Vice Chairperson, Ude Waswanapi, Marcel Abijak, Kagni Derek Neposh, Kagni Nigan Pstaman, Chairperson. Wemenji, we have Sammy Blackned, Kak Shalane Tamatuk, Udewab Mextu, Patricia George, and George Sandy. Cree Nation Government, we have Davey Bobish, Anthony McLeod, and Matthew Swallow. Gunjij Ebedom said the Board of Compensation got Nigan Pstmatsen and I get Sagnod and Skumun Sulia. Ako Wim Snaps Kigan and David Saganan Sagani Chatska and Nigan Pstman Mbitagnotskan Airport and Shinijagum Gunanga. Aguji David Saganans. So the Ujabu Mutka with David Sdogest, but Udete Sawanska, Abid Sdoga. You can eat chats and Serga. Student Nisha go Daskanats get people in office manager, Sean Wapachi, Kaga administrative assistant, Mary Jane Cooper. So as part of the organizational chart, you'll see all the names and titles of our staff for the Board of Compensation. We had 2 new hires. Sean Wapachi, who's our people in office manager, and we also hired a new administrative assistant, Mary Jane Cooper, and also our insurance liaison officer was promoted. Daisy Shikapio now fills that title. I'd like now to share with you and explain how the Board of Compensation works for its shareholders. As mentioned before, we have investments on the stock market. We also have non-listed investments, direct investments in our subsidiaries. We have limited partner investments. So a wide range of investments gives us diversity, meaning that the income that we earn from these investments, we generate these funds either through management fees, dividends, and the investments themselves, comes back to the Board of Compensation. So the Board of Compensation revenues that come from the investments, either from the market or from CREECO, are reviewed through a disbursement policy. Within this disbursement policy, we have a formula that allows us to look at amounts that could be returned back to the communities, in the form of a community fund, an economic development fund, and a regional administration fund. And all these funds are returned back to the communities and the entities. And what's important here that we want to educate the people on is, when we have a structure like this, we ensure that these funds remain within the CREE, remain within the CREE communities, and it benefits the CREE beneficiaries, and it has a direct impact for the communities and its people. Precies hoe we bij hem staat ook dan how we David Schatz gaan naar zaten hen schoon zullen gaan. Na koos in dat town is zullen we kan hag niet gaan. The stock market gaat on what's kisten de wat zoeten is zullen gaan. Ja, DJ dat en zullen de niet stamps gaan. Ja, DJ mes snag niet kisten de wat zoeten zullen. Management fees dit stegen ook is dividends but stin konji companies gauw dit board of compensation Jim Scott ga ook nu zo ook is ignot matskest with Sweden has sulja ga gun hem dianan sin higen ga disbursement policies ga ignot ga gun he we so sin higen wit magats dan how did you David Sagnud ne sulja ga dan did you but snagnud min count with towns ga ook nu zo en sneak ook is ignot match gun he community fund economic development fund guess ne regional administration fund ignot ga when we monanji with towns ga dan how did David Sadon usually yon ji makan sejagunji wait go guess Joe ga guess bed magyognum sinigen ga dan how we David Sayogni sulja Minyan with and dan David Sidden sulja guess dan de is but snagnud ga mog mes when upon ignot matnu nim sinigen an hegunes booksim gas ga jis but snats sulja de min gau with town ga okay again big to on as we smart go indeed ja Starwich Street die tagen ga Jano Moso Ginuj we David sim doik jis safety making here dan is it street die tags in the Jano eben by his week is I got JG one tits in here I got JG one hagnud in sulja de we the match ga JG spiten sulja is in his spits ga we mean gaujum scorn on his sulja ga Mtero zo at enano gest in G good kids companies ga bet bite we hoda dun up to nagnuden headed suliam no ga when I booked on na sta we I met me was what egnots ga sweets ga de we the match a spiden headed suliam no ga when I see matches ga uji in the gan score with town ga we ga ji dena nyanji with madat and JTOK to what did not get and how is we share with in a January by his week January I get cited to them no we not take notes ahead and get spit but snag not get very bund out that's guy I wouldn't go stock market performance I don't know what's got then I said absent hog not in his sulja G's go subopska Kapkan hagnud ne sulja ga not match then we social higen anga dan jis but snagnud ga to got 7 million jis but snagnud ga say we stasun ga 2.8 million that is in jis but snana na community fund administration fund 1.1 million kagne economic development fund 3 million yogum say guys in skumana notes ga ja, but precies iets begonnen. Bego dat, bego bonde dat ik not tegen het 6.8 million die het snaggen 2024-25 ook ne regular fun ik not tegen het ik ben heel big Joan judges not match dan how he sweet ga ik would go sad dad in his sulja ga ik would ik ne magnuden sulja judge in tout sud ga with the ducts ne jis adaption hognud ne sulja ok much case sweet man ga in stnes ne yo naget and this but snagnud ne sulja ga a community fund which kaidian mukdan we David Sado joga Inuit town kadan we David Sagnud and Sulag Disput Snagnud economic development fund we Sagnudo and distribute also those go okay companies as business we started we need to go is not much is bookseat much can yanga David Sagnud ne Sulag regional administration fund the James Baines communta sin data cock as go to Mbuiko good have this put snats can Sulag the Nako the one that is used we share weeks the regular fund investments are a major component in terms of what is dispersed to the communities, through the community and economic development funds. And this allows the communities to decide at their discretion how these funds are used. It doesn't come from the Board of Compensation. We don't dictate in terms of how these funds are to be used. It's all up to the communities and its members. We also support the Regional Administration Fund, and these are through the James Bay Northern Quebec Agreement obligations to support regional projects, with the different entities that are listed as part of the obligations. The Community Fund Kados has Inuit town kaji but smuja we show shin hignoka kesas sim skod new shuamoka jishuga bubnijga. Msem amo igno tegnots but snagnud in community fund as 119.4 million but snagno jishu pegobunde datska neo ushis neo million but snagnuga. Eskaga a bunde pakan sulao eskagajut but snagnud but askaji we shwa dagnud ga ne sulao. Eskai 9 million gagnes psidades kandateji mad nebu hagnud gandatin Inuit townska. The community fund statistics, 6 communities have already received their funding for the fiscal year. Since the inception of the community fund, the Board of Compensation has dispersed 119.4 million. Just in the past year, 4.2 million was dispersed through the community fund. And we still have outstanding commitments various communities in the amount of 5.6 million. Just a little view in terms of the inception to today. Here's a chart of what was received on a community by community basis. I'm not going to go through the numbers, but it gives you a total view of how much funding was provided to the communities since the inception of the community fund. Snaps kigen agun mesugun Inuit town tangism skodog ne sulauka msegis but snagnudga stawe mstiga jim skognu sulauga gisp but snagnudu sulaumse de Inuit townska. Okay, gno tegnu to tangis but snagnudga de gnot mika from 2019. Aska stay 11 million eji but snagnud de Gestege we wati datska dan how tande te chega is but snagnud gan hesula gnot matska ni we know town tande is but snkoge ni you sin hignoka you ne you abichungum ka you msin hijagumuk chegad nish million min nako ne you gudikcho we ga utagni konde inu town beug min up 2 million emede hagnodo usni jones nestmuga wassids step beug million yok ne you Inuitun you buitagniko ka go ji sa noktka Inuitun eske mikegniko go stay have beug million ji spesnagno min nako ni gudikcho go local programs buitagniko ka have beug million usni joju sads go edut ko have beug million ji spesnagno ga okay, it's good majo notes. The nako go have a good much Inuit town ke. gestern die chenu jagan ob magnudo gestern de it's good majonutska de inushitska stugun gestern waskaigen tonutska maskudza isnagen ji stagnut win egunagne jon ga sit manans ganji inuit town ka de ji kno tegnutsen det sitan anu idi takska specific jet ko ka waskaigen ka gest joinji et subito sudo ayu local business ka ngering ni ko ka avens si we share we on his sulagis but snagnut ga kno tegnutsen de kdos punte udatska. So on a category by category basis, you'll see the numbers here, the community fund, and the impacts it had in different sectors. The total amount of 11.5 million in grants that were paid since April 2019, that shows the different sectors that benefited from the community fund. Okay, regional administration fund go moga belgo punde that 1.65 million but snagnuga. Yokum se mamu egno tegnut then guys but snagnuga uste nyain million 55 million guys but snagnud msega. Then istem gamsna de CRA Grand Council ga wouldn't know istem go to weed ga even by hagnud the BTSO ga would go to weed was on his sulyaga did you we chew weeds ga with agnut it's sweet agnut in the Grand Council ga with this ga go with nagnut and sulya you cannot them names say you would stasun ga said and they ga spray agnut ga jija those who's gonna get sagnud JBCCS, Simpson Surgeon now Coda, Kanaka, then guess we Sagnud August, Jiwas Haushibi nodes. I would expect Hagnud his Sulaga, I guess Jews need you with adults go, okay. Guess the G Scrooge, Egno Technico, you to make Koga, guess to. Guess the Inu Yumunia with Jana and Skumunjis, but Snagnut Sulaga, Videndeka, these times get it. It's stagnuts and hedges, Memedum Negnuts, Yumunga. Oko Economic Development Fund, Yagnot Egnuts, Nistum but Snagnut, Aska. In 2012, Nistum got sick Egnuts, Aska, you got 30 million, but Snagnuga. Kago Belgo Bunde, that's you got $1 but Snagnuga. Skaga average. You got no $1 million mean you but snagnud ga. Okay, Jeda you to you can just book tagnu we average go have with tagnut the projects I not technical with the with towns get which we share we do Sulya average. Under the Economic Development Fund, since the inception of this fund, which was created in 2012, has now dispersed 29.49 million, and just this past year 2.79 million was dispersed for economic development purposes, and there's still outstanding commitments of 3.8 million. Just some more stats in terms of the communities, the benefit the communities have had through this economic development fund. This is a chart to show each community. Okum snaps kigen we are going to we talked dan how meso in the Inuit town case mskodog and you should the economic development fund. So kun dit check out we share we do slow guys but snagnud economic development fund also point can diagnose 6.45 million English but snagnud business infrastructure, it's without also though engines wega without skaiganamo dogmok naku to guess when you which wait also go step million guess the as new your businesses average when they used to eat dog is still getting local business 700,000 education and training you average it now Guessing that Avid Sisu that Squid Mognodoga work experience get on. So under the Economic Development Fund, the major categories were business infrastructure. Close to 2 million was benefited to the business infrastructures. To the entrepreneurs, a little over 1 million. Support for local businesses was 700,000. Education and training, 365,000. And for work experience, it was 253,000. Jag min högdig Cree Rights Fund we asked John 1989 to 2003 Mamo 11 million G but snag no nine sab bundeg no we asked John min gau Jim Skono vid Sulaga migam surgeon Skono muga Tigad 9 million Jim Skona and mean gau G Pedmson Magatis guy in would be Chesu G we could had on you Sulaga G mean gau but snag no ga Mwag just Abid Sanan and Sulaga G mean gau G but snananga then the investments ga good mean gau but snag no Nesulaga mean G should Nesulaga Sto we Jimetena gam skmat nem sin higen gawit magatska min gaw jed de pomogno da border compensation. Precies gang modeno growth fund. Ota 1993 US stagnon growth fund jis ga regnoga nistem ga gawit tegnots ga de pakan hagnot ne sulauga Stemd no bun sin skumnano ga ji pakan hagnod ne sulao. Ga ji se magno ja den he sulao ji but snagno ji should and stemd no bun ka ga no tegnots ga. Ka go ni su bun de dat ga March 2023. I wouldn't know ga sko witten he ga ji sweet ne stemd no bun ka. Ka ga not match we wait ni sin higan ka Dan Haugas who shouldn't have Sulaga. 15 million jits Kagno in 1993. Okan Hegas who shouldn't Sulaga, Stum the new Bunka. 126 million Egangis who shouldn't have Sulaga. Okay, Gawita Matska, Dan Hauji, Dan Hauji David Sagnudgan has Sulaga. Okay, Gan Stuyatska, Gaimud Matsna, Mean Jaji. Pakan hagnod ne sulauga na kunyut stasun jignotananga okay ganz skumnano tse nyainem dunu million minje che pakan hagnod ga okay hega nga skubid ne 76 million min kauje jibut snagnod into the regular fund okay njisn hega witmanut stasun kan he 76 million egun he yavids ga sitzen hognod ga jis put snagnod ne Back in 1993, the leadership at the time under the Board of Compensation created a growth fund. There were no disbursements from this fund for 30 years. It had a no-touch policy, and that period ended in March of 2023. The benefit of this growth fund enabled the investments to grow from what was put aside, an amount of 15 million back in 1993 grew to 126 million in 2023. From 1993 to 2023, this amount proved to be very successful in terms of allowing it to grow and having the maturity to say that we will not touch this fund, for that 30-year period. And the result was that it grew to 126 million. So in the spring of 2023, the board had decided that it would be the wisest decision was to renew the amount of the growth fund. So the board had agreed to put aside 50 million for another 30 years and allow that to grow. I'll share another slide on that. But what resulted from that transition was the balance of that 76 million was put back into the regular fund, and that 76 million benefited the annual disbursements that were part of the calculations of this past year's disbursements to the communities. So the growth fund was renewed, like I said, for another 30-year period. The reset was put at $50 million, market value as of March 31st. That market value has grown to 61.8 million. So that amount, will continue to grow, with the performance of the market. Some of the principles that we look at is, that the capital should grow, and it should always be protected against inflation. And the objective is to exceed CPI plus 5% over a 10-year moving period, average period. So the growth fund is currently 100% equity and alternative investments such as real estate, infrastructure. So it's in a wide range of classes right now, so that to ensure that it's protected. Wouldn't know it's a week did you magnut and how did you doubt sudden has okay, and then stem the no bond then you stamska technotska cannot make and geese where skogits can have March be some can have 9 million cap can hagnut as could also no big million as agony did starks it as agonies it did starks das in here cap can hagnut okay, the nakun you go to when he cannot match get you station get then they you medium nagnutness like said you say book say magnut in doubt shouldn't any time take up say magnut there. Okay, snaps kicken we go we talked now the green guy snacks guy I wouldn't have any stem guy but snagnut guy cannot again have 15 million I would now need stem guy. But snagnut and Sulaga, okay, and nooks and then doubts would get. Guess them snadel and how then how guys sweets get a 2008 market crash got global market recession or Nastiak what's woods go again. She put some pieces in Sulaga, you and Snoone Sulaga, you. Mean gan doubts would get, we just say magnun Sulaga, mean gan doubts would. Okay, no, take notes in here. Danton how got score weeks getting here. Every nigga might go eat man 126 million English sits did get. Okay, can't scum now notes go. Cannot mug guess in the dead outs in here. I wouldn't know how me was ne have na spinning got duct guy average she's when Hano should again now. Mug duet means it's Scots a blue guy 126 million guys said that yeah. Okay, minga kapkan hagnut guy dian egun 50 million okay dad ga gnot mega again jis let's go eat man gas 61 million is dad gas mean down here nogan it squats away dan is we shouldn't have sulaga okay say gnot mega then he stamps gan then how guys sits doing his sulaga nogan it squats away and head starts on mess with the point guy gap same magnut then sulaga. This graph just demonstrates, shows you the history of the first 30-year period. As I explained, 15 million was put aside. That resulted into a return of 126 million 30 years later. So when we reset the growth fund to 50 million, the anticipation there is to see the dotted line increase the fund if it's maintained and well protected for the second 30-year period, which expires in 2053. So this shows the increase in the growth fund. So just an executive summary on the financial statements for the Board of Compensation. The total net assets are at 488.8 million. We're nearing $500 million as of March 31st, 2025. This includes stock market investments in ODEA and CREECO, net of all liabilities, and the regular fund had a market value of 176.7 million. And under the Cree Collective Deductible Insurance Program Fund, the net assets are at 19.6 million as of March 31st. Msen yut stasun egan automika dan is dadga msen is suliauga askadga up to billion ga minchen dan don't know snap billion ga 488 million egan is dadga msen is suliauga. Mseg de nako is down his suliau stock market investments guess that with that new companies ga de min de chu sulia bin suliauga. Ook mogen hebben ne fund ga ganot egnot ga the regular fund is dead ga 176.7 million. Ook ne insurance program we ganot egnot said is most of it that ga now to got 20 million down is skogets ga March pisum ga. Okay, education fund ya bidin diananga jija skut morgan je jika match ga go nistunu beauty student ju jija je skut masudo ga jika match ga bichi jisa but smognut ga sulyoga ga styoga am sema mo is mi agnudo ga 32,000 sema mo jis mi agnuds na nako ni utstasun ga we waging gnot enano had to jisa it stats we education fund just said jis gnot much than how jis we chatted and you enji that's good master guess said jis sheet matted jis not going you spider you it's good majo new girl guess said jis some skako you but soon would you know it down again. Lastly, we have an education fund. And this fund is managed by 2 representatives from the Cree School Board and 2 representatives from the Board of Compensation, which is myself and the Vice Chairman. This fund was created to award students with excellent academic achievements, whether they're completed their program. It's an award for them in recognition of their studies. Right now, we are reviewing the education fund. These amounts that we've dispersed over the past year were like 32,000 was dispersed under the education fund for 21 recipients. As you can see the list. We had 2 students with master's degrees, 3 honors bachelor's degrees, 2 bachelor's degrees, 3 2-year college programs, 1 1-year college program, and 10 off community secondary high school students. So there's a review. There's a review of this fund as well, and in future reports we'll be sharing more results related to this. So with that, I wish to thank you all for taking the time to listen to this presentation. Tuin skumdam said is ben studiats und ich ben madat at bazman. Gestan bukseten and jemi wigu und jiska jishat. Wajagum sa. Thank you everyone. Have a nice day.
From Remoshabot Grand Thornton. We are the editors of Cree Nation Government Board of Compensation, and today I will do a small presentation of the edited financial statement of the Board of Compensation at the end of March. So it's going to be a PowerPoint presentation doing a summary of the statements. I will share my screen with the presentation. So just like I told you, Cree Nation Government Board of Compensation presentation to the 2025 Annual Assembly. Starting with our independent auditors report, our opinion this year, we have audited the financial statements of the organization. And in our opinion, the accompanying financial statement present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the organization at the end of March 31st, 2025. So it's a standard audit report. Starting with few financial highlights about the assets and liabilities. Under the Board of Compensation, there's 3 different funds, starting with the first one, the Heritage Fund, the second one, General Fund, and also the Insurance Fund. And you'll see the total numbers for the year and always the comparative figures for 2024. So if we start with the financial assets under the Heritage Fund, there was a total of financial assets of 242.2 million this year, which include for the biggest portion all the investment in trust and fund units at market value for 238 million, plus the other investments at 3 million, and also small amount of cash at 365,000. For the general fund, total of financial assets at 16.5 million, which include 5.4 million of cash, 8.5 million of amounts receivable, and 2.4 million of other investments. For insurance fund, 23.4 million of financial assets, which include near 6 million of cash, a small amount of 441,000 of receivables, and all the investment in trust and fund units at market value for 17 million. For the whole organization, we talk about the total of financial assets at the end of March 2025 at 282.1 million compared to 306.6 million for the year ended March 2024. For the liabilities, there's no liabilities under Heritage Fund, so the net financial assets for this fund is equal to the total of the financial assets at 242.2 million. For the general fund, liabilities of 5.7 million, so it means that the net financial assets were amounting to 10.7 million. For the insurance fund, near 1.4 million of liabilities, giving a total of net financial assets at 22 million. And for the whole organization, we talk about net financial assets of 274.9 million compared to 279 million back in 2024. For the other financial highlights, this time only for Heritage Fund in regards of the accumulated surplus. At year end, the current year surplus for the year under Heritage Fund this year, it's a deficit. So a current year deficit of 7.3 million compared to a current year surplus last year at 7.2 million. The unappropriated accumulated surplus at the end of March 2025 for the Heritage Fund was amounting to 271 million compared to 378 million back in 2024. And for the accumulated remeasurement gains, so we talk about the non-materialized gains on all the investments recorded at market value. So 12.2 million of remeasurement gains under Heritage Fund and 16.5 million last year. Same kind of information, but this time for the general fund. So for the general fund, there was a current year surplus deficit last year. Current year surplus for 2025 was amounting to 21.1 million. The deficit of last year, 2.6 million. The unappropriated accumulated surplus at the end of March 2025 was amounting to 58.8 million compared to 37.7 million for 2024. The appropriated accumulated surplus for the CREECO fund under the general fund was amounting to 27,000, which is the same amount than 2024. And finally, the accumulated remeasurement gains or the non-materialized gains on the investments recorded at market value, 46.7 million this year compared to 43.4 million last year. And for the insurance fund, we talk about the surplus for the year at 1.7 million compared to 136,000 back in 2024. For the unappropriated accumulated surplus, 15.4 million this year, 13.6 in 2024. And finally, the accumulated remeasurement gains on the investments record at market value, 4.2 million this year compared to 4 million for 2024. Highlights for the revenues and expenditures. So the revenues for each of the funds there for the current year and also for the comparative year 2024. So for general fund this year, revenues to the total of 33.1 million compared to 6 million back in 24. Mostly the difference is all related with the gain on disposal of the investments. For the Heritage Fund, negative revenue this year at 7.3 million compared to 7.2 million of revenues last year. This difference mostly all related with losses on disposal of investment this year, and also to the fact that the investment in subsidiary has a loss this year compared to surplus back in 2024. For the insurance fund, 19.5 million of revenues this year compared to 12.6 million back in 2024, giving a total of revenues for the Board of Compensation for the year at 45.3 million compared to 26.6 million back in 2024. For the expenditures under the general fund, 12 million. Last year, 9.4. There's no expenditures under Heritage Fund, and for insurance fund, we talk about 17.7 million of expenses compared to 12.4 million back in 2024, giving a total of expenditures for the year at 29.8 million, 21.9 back in 2024. Giving a total of excess of revenues over expenditures for the year at 15.5 million compared to 4.6 million last year. This page shows you the evolution of the materialized gains or losses on the investments for the last 10 years. Again, I'm explaining you that there's two things under the gains for the investment, the materialized and the non-materialized. So we saw numbers about the non-materialized gains. So this graph is showing you real gain, so materialized gain on real transaction. So on real sales of investment. So as you could see, this year, 21.1 million, which is a very big increase compared to the 1.2 million of gain of last year. So you could see all through the year there's a variation depending of the markets for each of the years, with their losses back in 21 after during the course of the COVID. So the situation was sometimes more difficult. So it gives you an idea of what happened with the materialized gains all through the last 10 years. Again, for the last 10 years, but this time it's giving you an idea of the evolution of the market value of the investments, with in green evolution of the regular fund, in blue evolution of the growth fund, in light green evolution of the insurance fund, and in black it's the total of the three funds. So as you could see, the market value for the whole organization is going up since 2016, where it started at 192 million of market value, up to 255 million in 2025. For the regular fund and growth fund, you could see there was adjustment. So it's only because a portion of the growth and regular fund, there was adjustment and rebalancing of these two funds. So it was just a transfer one to the other. So a portion of the growth fund was transferred to the regular fund. So a portion of these investments. So this is why there was an increase there and a decrease there. And the evolution of the insurance fund. So that's all for my presentation. So I hope that you're having a good meeting, and I'm thanking you of listening to this presentation. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Hi everyone, I hope all is well for you. So today I'm going to do a review of the investments in the different funds that are managed by the Board of Compensation, which are the regular fund, the growth fund, and the insurance fund. So most of the data will be as at March 31st, 2025, which is in fact the end of your financial year. On the next few pages, I will go through the current allocation of each fund as at March 31st, 2025, and we will also compare it to its target asset allocation. So in fact, each one of the three funds have its own target asset allocation, which is defined in a document that we call the Statement of Investment Policies, the SIP. The target asset allocation is defined to make sure that the three funds are able to achieve their respective long-term goals. So we will start with the regular fund on this page. As you can see, the assets are invested across different asset classes and with different managers, namely fixed income, equities, and inflation-sensitive investment, which include Canadian real estate and infrastructure. So the goal is to have diversification to different asset classes. So when markets are going up or are going down, you don't have an exposure to a single investment. Diversification helps to minimize the overall risk in your portfolio. Regarding the inflation-sensitive investment, their goal is to allow for long-term growth and for stable returns, and overall provide an edge for inflation over the years. So one of the responsibility of the board and the investment committee is to track the compliance to the funds to their target asset allocation. So that's why we compare the current allocation with its target asset allocation. So as you can see, there are some deviation currently. The allocation to inflation-sensitive investment is higher than it's supposed to be. This is mostly due to the strong performance of one of the infrastructure mandate, namely the TD Greystone Fund, which posted strong returns in the last few years. So what we will do is that we will rebalance the portfolio, reduce the allocation to inflation-sensitive investment to go back closer to the target asset allocation of 22%, and increase allocation to fixed income and equity mandates. So that's something that we verify quarterly and make sure that we stay aligned on the target asset allocation. So on this slide, we present the exact same table than on the page before, but with the information of the insurance fund. So the target asset allocation, you may observe that it's exactly the same as the one of the regular fund. In fact, we have mentioned it in the annual assembly in the last few years, but you may recall that in 2021, the assets from the regular fund and the insurance fund were split. And when we did that project, the target asset allocation of the insurance fund was maintained. So that's why it's currently exactly the same as the regular fund. However, over the years, we realized that the liquidity requirements for the insurance fund were higher than the one of the regular fund. So currently, the Board of Compensation is reviewing the investment policy, the SIP document that I was talking about. And the goal would be to change the target asset allocation to make sure that it's adapt for the liquidity requirements of the insurance fund. So for the next step, not only the current allocation will move closer to the target asset allocation, but in the next few months, this target asset allocation will be reviewed. So the inflation-sensitive investment, for example, may be transferred from the insurance fund to another one of the fund in exchange for fixed income or equities. to make sure that we have more liquid mandates available in the insurance fund. On this page, we present the information with regards to the growth fund. So as you can see, there is no allocation to fixed income in opposition with what we saw for the regular and the insurance fund. So in fact, the main objective of the growth fund is for capital growth, and because of that, no disbursements are made. So all the assets are invested in the equity sleeve and the inflation-sensitive investment. Another thing that I wanted to mention is that currently the current asset allocation is close to the target asset allocation. As you can see, there's only a small underweight in inflation-sensitive investment. So I just explained it on the previous slide for the insurance fund. What we are gonna do is that we will transfer some inflation-sensitive investment from the insurance fund to the growth fund. And for the equities, as you can see on this slide, it's a little bit overweight. So we will take the equivalent amount in equities and transfer it from the growth fund to the insurance fund. So we will go back on the target asset allocation. You may wonder why the regular fund and the insurance fund deviate from their asset allocation and not the growth fund. In fact, as a reminder, in 2023, it was the end of the 30 years lockout period that was initially set for the growth fund when it was first launched. So in 2023, the Board of Compensation conducted a review, and it was decided to keep 50 million in the growth fund and transfer all the excess amount into the regular fund. So at that time, the allocation was rebalanced to the target asset allocation. So that's why today the deviations are way smaller than in the regular fund and the insurance fund. So now that we have gone through the target asset allocation and the current asset allocation, we will look into the different market values for the three funds. So in fact, on this slide, you can see the evolution throughout the year. So we start with the market value as at April 1st, 2024, which is the beginning of your financial year, and we end as at March 31st, 2025 at the end of your financial year. So maybe just a few comments on the different cash flows during the year. So for the regular fund, as you can see, there were some disbursements for a total amount of just below 30 millions. For the insurance fund, there were also some disbursement during the year, so just below 10 million. However, there was also a deposit during the year of 6 million. So overall, a net cash flow of minus 4 million. And for the growth fund, no transaction during the year. As I just mentioned in the slide before, the objective of the growth fund is capital growth over the long term. So it's really defined in the SIP that no disbursement are made from the growth fund. Then the income and realized, unrealized gains or losses. So these two lines represent the returns that you had during the year. So as you can see, the numbers are positive. So the market returns were pretty good during the year. We will see that in a few slides as well. But overall, strong gains during the year. Of course, the amount for the regular fund is higher than the insurance fund and the growth fund because the total market value of the regular fund is way higher than the two other funds. We also present a line with the fees paid by the fund. So these are the fees that we pay the different manager so that they try to add value when compared to the market. So we pay them some fees to manage the assets. And on the last line, the final market value at the end of the year. So for the regular fund, we stand at $176 million. The insurance fund, 17 million, and the growth fund, 60, almost 2 million. And you may remember, as I just mentioned, the growth fund, we started at exactly 50 million in 2023. So since the last 2 years, we went from 15 million to 61 million. So that's a good growth in 2 years. So at the bottom of the page, we also showed the net change in the market value year over year. So for the growth fund, it's a positive number. For the regular and insurance fund, it's a negative number. So in fact, the value decreased from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. But it's mostly, in fact, it's due to the high disbursement that were made during the year. Because speaking of returns, as we can see on these two lines, the returns were positive during the year, but because of the high disbursement, the value decreased year over year. So on the last page, we looked into the evolution of the different market values for the last year. On this slide, we present the same information, but on a longer period. So from the second quarter of 2020 until the first quarter of 2025. So there are a lot of different colors on the two charts. I will try to explain it to you. So on the left, we present the evolution of the regular and insurance funds. Because as I mentioned, previously the insurance fund assets were held into the regular fund, and in 2021 it was decided to separate them so that they have their own asset at the custodian level. So that's why you see red color appearing in the fourth quarter of 2021. So that's when the two funds were split. And then on the right, we show the evolution of the growth fund. You may also observe that there are bars with a lighter shaded color starting in 2023. So by now, I think you understand what my message is, but in 2023, that's when it was the end of the lockout period for the growth fund. So there was a transfer from the growth fund to the regular fund, a total value of approximately 75 million. So the goal was to keep 50 million in the growth fund after the transaction. So we just decided to put the bars in a lighter shaded color to explain why there was a big increase on the chart on the left and why there was a big decrease on the chart on the right. And you may also observe that it's not exactly 50 millions in the first quarter of 2023, sorry. It's because of the illiquid nature of the infrastructure and real estate mandates. Some of the transaction only occur in Q1 2024. So that's why you also see a decrease and an increase at that moment. So overall, a good growth over the years for all three funds. So now that we have talked about the evolution of the market values over the last few years, we will look into the performance of the different funds and the market in general. So on this slide, we present the performance of the regular, the insurance, and the growth funds over a different period, namely 1 year, 4 year, and 10 years. So as I mentioned earlier, each one of the funds has its own objective. So in the case of the regular and insurance fund, that objective is to reach to achieve a rate of return of at least 4.5% above inflation on a 4-year basis per year. In this case, as at March 31st, 2025, this objective was 8.70%. So inflation is measured by the Canada CPI. And the performance of the regular fund for the last 4 years was 7.20%, while the performance of the insurance fund was 7.01%. So we are slightly below the objective of 8.70%. However, it's important to remember that we, in the last few years, we were in a period of high inflation. So during the COVID and the years just after, we in fact reached a summit in inflation. So that explains partially why we stand below the current objective. However, we wanted to mention that the performance was really strong in the last few years. So as you can see, 7% per year on the last 4 years, that's a pretty strong absolute return. Moving to the growth fund, so it's as I mentioned also earlier, the investment in the growth fund is made for a longer term period. So the goal is not measured over 4 years, but instead over 10 years. In that case, the return objective was Canada CPI plus 5%, which is 7.73% as of March 31st. And the growth fund posted a return of 8.57%. So in fact, over the last 10-year period, the growth fund was able to meet and even exceed its policy objectives. But overall, across all different funds, pretty strong absolute returns for all the years considered, the 1 year, 4 year, and 10 years. I also wanted to mention that the Board of Compensation continuously monitored the underlying managers and the overall investment structure of the 3 funds. So in fact, they meet with managers on a regular basis. And one of the secondary objectives is value added. So each one of the managers, their goal is to add value when compared to the index of their own mandate. So that's why we also presented a line with the return of the benchmark and a line with the value added of each one of the funds. So it's an additional way of assessing the results of the funds in general and the underlying managers. So before moving to the returns of the market in the last year, just a few comments on the next step for the Board of Compensation. So there's a few items that I already covered since the beginning of the presentation. But I will mention it again. So first of all, transfer inflation-sensitive investment from the insurance fund to the growth fund. So as we saw, there was an overweight in inflation-sensitive investment in the insurance fund and an underweight in the growth fund. So there will be a transfer. And then, of course, the review and the update of the SIP of the insurance fund. As I mentioned previously, the target asset allocation and the SIP was identical to the one of the regular fund. And now, because of the liquidity requirements of the insurance funds that are higher than the one of the regular fund, we will update the SIP to reflect that. And for the next 2 bullet points, I mentioned earlier that one of the responsibility of the board is to monitor the underlying managers and the overall investment structures of the 3 funds. So these 2 bullet points are related to that. So we will review the current asset allocation to Canadian small cap equities to make sure that it remains appropriate, and also proceed with an investment manager search in the global equity sleeve to maybe replace some of the manager in place. So as you know, investment is a constantly evolving topic. So the board makes sure that the assets are invested with the best-in-class managers. So we did a few changes in the global equity sleeve in 2024, and this is just a continuation of the process that was started. So constantly making sure that the managers are good and maybe meeting other managers and follow the investments. And finally, the last one is the review and adjustment of the regular fund asset allocation to introduce direct investment. So as you may know, the Board of Compensation invest in a different project of the Cree Nation, for example, the ODA project. So since this is direct investments that are not considered currently in the asset allocation, we just want to look into the overall picture because as you saw, there's already an allocation to alternative mandates, so real estate and infrastructure. So we want to verify if these investments in real estate and infrastructure are still relevant since the Board of Compensation already invest in real estate and infrastructure project with the Cree Nation. So it's going to be a project for 2025 to 2026. So just a big picture of the different investment in the regular fund, both the ones we covered in this presentation, so the ones that are invested with manager, and the direct investment, so the investment that the Board of Compensation do outside of the asset invested in the portfolio that we saw. So as promised, on this slide, we present a summary of the different index returns that you are exposed through your different mandates. So maybe just a few explanation. S&P TSX is for the Canadian market, and then the Canadian small cap equity index. MSCI World, it's for global equity. MSCI ACWI, it's the global equity, including the emerging markets. Then you have the emerging markets, and FTSE Canada Universe Bond Index represent the fixed income market in Canada. And finally, Canada CPI plus 5% and IPD Canada Property Index. These are two different index that we look into when we want to compare the performance of real estate and infrastructure mandates, such the one that you have in your portfolio. In blue, we present the 1 year return for the period ending on March 31st, 2025, so for your financial year. And we also provide an update, with the most recent numbers as at June 30th, 2025. So in green, it's the return for the second quarter of 2025 from April to the end of June. Overall, what you can see on this slide is that returns are positive across all the different indexes and for the two different periods considered. So basically, 2024 was a pretty strong year for all market indexes. On the fixed income side, the Bank of Canada decreased the overnight rate many times during the year. So which led to strong returns in the fixed income part in Canada. For the Canadian, global, and US market, they all posted high returns. Of course, as you may know, there was an increase in volatility towards the end of the first quarter of 2025 because of the introduction of the U.S. tariffs. Overall, a bit more volatility, but still strong returns. And for the second quarter of 2025, in fact, global equity markets rallied strongly despite the trade uncertainties. So the optimism of investor improved around half of the quarter because, as you know, several tariff actions were paused or rolled back. So global equity strength was supported by easing inflation and also expectation that the central banks would eventually continue to lower the Fed rate in the US and the overnight rate in Canada. So speaking of tariffs, we put up this slide with some insights. So you have some details on the slide regarding the tariffs. What is important to know is that, of course, it's a situation that is evolving quickly, with new measures being imposed and then revised constantly. As I just mentioned, this created a lot of volatility in the market, so especially at the beginning of the second quarter of 2025. In fact, volatility reached a level that had not been reached since COVID pandemic. So the magnitude of the impact on the investors and the citizens in general will depend on several factors. So the scope and duration of the tariffs, the measure taken by other countries, the central bank response, and also the psychological impact on the consumer spending of the different citizens. So we have highlighted a few of the impacts on the long term of tariffs. So higher inflation, weaker Canadian dollar, higher market volatility, as I mentioned, and slower growth. However, the conclusion on this slide and the message that we want to mention today is that volatility is expected, and our main recommendation remains the same in all the different situations like this one, is to maintain a long-term perspective and avoid to overreact to short-term market volatility. So in your case, the funds are expected and intended to exist in perpetuity. All three funds have a long-term perspective, even a longer-term perspective for the growth fund. So of course, there will be volatility over the short term, but we want to focus on the long term and remain true to the target asset allocation that are defined in the SIP of each one of the three funds. So yeah, that's the message that we wanted to share today with you. Of course, the situation is monitored by the Board of Compensation by us. So if ever there's a need to modify the asset allocation or assess some situation with the managers, the Board of Compensation will take actions. So this is the end of the presentation. You can see some of our disclosures on this page. So I hope that you found this information helpful, and I wish you all a very nice day.
Hello, this is Shakapio Ni. I am the CREE Insurance Liaison Officer for our CREE Collective Deductible Insurance Program. I'm here to do our presentation for our Annual General Assembly for 2025. First, I just wanted to acknowledge and say thank you to Abel Rabbitskin, my former boss, former insurance liaison officer who retired in December 2024, and I took on his position January 2025. Miigwech nui daw Abel Rabbitskin dat the bun gabachik dek ewi insurance program. Ewi the nashkamak gewi ge dan gesh pshmiobachik under the insurance gesh pshabatsit. Thank you, Abel. CCDIP's mission is obtaining and ensuring adequate insurance program, also obtaining coverages on a good premium for our CRE assets, also assisting the CRE Nation in maintaining a good insurance program for a CRE insurance control as well, and also promoting prevention measures for our safety communities. Ekun David Shunanyan insurance kananagat stayat mamu enagadway degnoch kanway action gie at the piganoch insurance program. Ekun nation gadid so he it's gadatska insurance. A David chat I did a duct and anagadway degnoch ge I did a mu wichigieg insurance ayag to get it down what. Mishaj to go on a more dex a Jim you can have no insurance. Egun was not a man that's own David Shunan. Ge I did a G duct a mugnate meg to go on a more. Daniel he manager egg. Ge he David Stayeg to go on a more. Udaban. Mishaj go ye David go. The ino street. David Stay. I did insurance to G duct. A widget and David Hagan Nance getting insurance. Albert Rondon with the Bungran, Niki Hegotepian, consultant, Jacques Lemaire, adjusters from Indemnity Pro, David Courtier, estimators, CNG Technical and Group Saint Amo. A widget and David Hagan Nanot insurance have a chat. Mshen and Ako Duganyu who David Shuno who did go with Higo. Insured periods. The insured period, most policies are insured periods are June 1, 2025 to June 1, 2026. This is this year. Prescription dates, all claims are kept open for up to 3 years from the date of the incident. Reconstruction must begin within 2 years from the date of loss. So CCDIP insures approximately 3.7 billion in CRE assets. Dugan Shinhigan and Nagade the match wouldn't have a chat insurance. Bake up one, Heshagum one, who stagnum Shinhigan insurance gates and that it. Gia hadn't H. Nugget stagnot and Shinhigan claims gates and that it's one is which was Skahigan, Magodaban, I did Dugan and how it's a piece there, G. Stein, a G. Stein your insurance 3 years to go. She did me drop. The bunch down to this measurement to the G Steiner, yeah. She papers a bit it's men get to we gabot mean. Oh, scratch me drop a gypsy dead. Oh, my ginch, say, insure nanoco, I'm sure to go ahead the pizza with agnoco, equin hijab with agnoco, nst, mini sauce, billion, egon kun hijab with insurance, shed, you know, that one. CCDIP's participants. First is the Cree Nation government, Grand Council of Decrees, all the Cree Nation offices, Board of Comp, Cree Trappers, CODA, all the other Cree entities. So maybe about 150 Cree participants in Diawanans. Begom datum deno, minyainum deno, each shoots when jij et squayated. Office, insurance office. Mshe na nagade mayated I dig at the insurance mu yadoge here. CCDIP's activities, insuring residential and commercial properties, automobiles, construction projects, especially joint venture construction projects, businesses. Even in the preparation of insurance renewals, updating characteristics, and asking for financial statements. This is during the renewals in January. January of every year. We also oversee the claims, buildings and contents, vehicles, cabin claims, cabins insurance, residential and commercial inspections on petroleum tanks, generators, prevention plans. We have CTA cabins insurance program that are being reevaluated this year. We're still with the regional CTA office. We're still waiting for some documents. Providing orientation to newly hired staff. And we also participate in annual general assemblies when invited. I day to instruct match to washkahigan mo. Ge manager mamshago washkahigan ge so utaban. Ge chugoy chimdagno ko washkahigan kanot. I day ge insurance to do degnot. Ge mshinhigan I day to stagno ko heshkom bon. Mshejugo nation data scam shinhigan to do stagnot insurance. Gen an agitstanan to go nishwich washkahigan magab shides washkahigan. Mshenium shinhigan nan agitstanan I did babuiko ge housing a bedi checkom shinhigan to stagnot and head claim within 3 years. The nako to go abachachke inspections and do denan. The babuinan de down not to do degnoko inspections. Gehayo annual financial audit preparation. Tugun game shinhigan geoge ek not go how did it the pegno the sinhegno ko ayo station danish betugui kweshewe ayo claims. CTA cabins ge mines it's buitagno min egun min not egno to apegnot. Gen skudamonan ja Chido go panel child negach go panel child it's good moyated. Gen duction nane we sham get median educt did you do match insurance did you would match insurance get. The policies, there's various types of policies to name a few: residential and commercial property, boiler and machinery, automobile, D&O liability, builder's risk, accident insurance, firefighters, marine, and crime. These policies represent 9.0 million in premiums for this year. It'll all depend on current claims experience for the total premium for 25-26. Nanakot dugon shinhigan policies kasi nga dego Danish get kun hijebu ko insurance nanakot dugon match midwape ke hayo kamamshago tanks egun yo taban ke habitagens get insurance out ke hanjit skudeo ganan agad o yabit taban dugon yum shinhigan o Danish kun hogno dog insurance ke hayo ut egun yum she etukwa Bigster million mag is premium soon gis 25-26 egnis spitwick premiums. Show you machine he can not. The property insured property. The units, there's 4,452 residential units plus the contents, which is total into the amount of 1.875 million. For the commercial units, there's 1,000 buildings. Total insured value is 1.6 million. So this coverage is all risk: fire, theft, vandalism, water damages. The deductible is 25,000 if value is less than a million, and 100,000 if the value is more than a million. Uyu magwash kahigan heganot egnoko Danish manager ino tawant. Newa chem datum de no state mi drope insure nanoko. Genyo bitagum chwash kahigans. Minis insure nano nyo bitagum chwash kahigan to go hate Abitstein. Mamu mag big million minyana nem de no nyana nem datum de no million is pshaw insure nanot. Can you mamshago wash kahigan arenas kaisagadego mag garages? Yabit 1.6 million is when he's a Tukun magan now get tuning to one is which was kahigan deductible kaisangadet. Tukun mean and yabit says stone egg not get, and is not egg not. Yagun mean and nuggets diet, which stages to egg not. The CREECO Collective Deductible Insurance Program evolution for the total claims incurred from 2015 to June 2025. So June 2015 to 2016, it was 1,500,000 claims. Mshag na nako get eshikampon na nako ispoyo. Modes gaskotabik 2023-2024. Eget mstik apshidego hayo. Emamshago washka hegun hegunagwit mstaskotabik and have 15 gate states, 15 million gate states. Mstitish boyo. Kunjish min gapops kaminega nisbuishik min. Nimete nage waptaman in a snacks and nisbuishigopshish. Aga emugnatum kchwashka higan no get to go you get an ispui the jispohigo. Mugnate nano as aminejik stanano and gidenga. Egunatum stabit. Claims in the past 10 years related to fire, there was 275 claims with 56.2 million. So water damages, 87 claims in the total amount of 4,000,028. Flood and sewer backup, 66 claims, 0.8 million. Others, vandalism, 43 claims, amounting to 0.9 million. Automobiles, 220 claims, in the total amount of 6 million. So the total property is 470 claims, totaling 62 million. So the frequency of these claims are still quite high. And because of all these claims, high claim frequencies can lead to high premiums, high deductibles, and possibly cancellation of policies if we don't maintain our buildings. Fire prevention, preventive measures are the keys to limiting insurance claims. Metatapon hesakanotam ko he utachka. Much kawapti to good how are you? Danish pohigika. Mamu ay kadosham dano niche million engage pohigik insurance. Pshidego mi drope nipi have not stajemaks. Eshtibuko mi drop utaban kia hai when and do not start get me drop a shete or not might me drop a when. Mshagnotum ke mamu yo. Egno et scotch bridge. Ayo. Danish tishikashika. Insurance. Gehegude scotch bridge kokia. Deductibles. Ngaidan much a quenegnoska. Scotch bridge. Could get scotch bridge. Yeah. 20 bridge got it now and not. CCDIP claim process. This is just a summary of what we want our participants to respect. Report a potential claim within 24 hours when you know of an incident. Also, participants are expected to submit the required documents in timely manner. The fires are automatically, we have 2 claims, building and the contents. And also we ask the participants to secure the burnt building to avoid any further mishaps. Repairs should be done as soon as possible. And also the claim is kept open for 3 years on the date of the prescription date. So the adjusters are the only people that can close the claim. So aguyum sinhigan ohewiga wapti dagats. Danish book shemayachad stabit hagen wads jidish. Bedwit magiatitska, dronedish wait. Mugas nistanu neo de pigan himyanan jwenjit gostke diji. Wit magiatid dronedish wait me dropped. Mag dronedish wait utaban. Dronedish wait higek. we bejikan jeji a pegnot machine higan jeji nadamadat dan jeji sweet that kenyan. Egunage book shame yato ha. Mandatory inspections. It's about managing risk. The insurers, Aon and AIG's inspectors will be conducting insurance inspections for all the buildings, residential and commercial buildings, BI&I inspections on commercial buildings, and also deficiencies must be corrected, and proof of corrections must be submitted in timely manner. Petroleum tanks inspections get to go. So most of these tanks have a lifespan of 15 years. Marine inspections, 10 years of age. So inspections and corrective works have progressed very well, which helps with the renewal of insurance coverage. Egunugen dabitshuna not now we dabichimayata dems the gushut ebeduk not coach washka higanwa get new kamam shaigo to tap washka higanwa arena skynanots garages get hood ude utkia get a majibmika beatstro. Tugun his machine higan high day jignot go inspectors daboy high to mugnate nanots to go namino to ensure do. Egunu do they no go your inspections? Nui jabachibana jagin stabachagano nida to tawa notga. Nui joganans inspection said that much we all get Nislam Beckham Stanley dates insurance inspectors to go to Westo Degnigo. Nabuk Shemana jag we pijikan to Westo Degno area. We take no go to go to Westo Degnot. Wetcham Washka Hagen fire alarm agam yoga. Squeet Magan inspector. I did you Westwoodman. Egnu she ewi mugnate tegno pocket washka higanam nano chanu get you mugnatum to insure nano. CCDIP prevention, regular inspections on water pipes, working in partnership with CNG, bands, fire departments to promote and implement fire prevention awareness at community at large. Regular fire inspections by fire departments, crime-related fires, arson cases, vandalism, vehicle accidents. Egunuyo the dabachunanke nyange ewi dabachimayatid needs Cree Nation government gets dabachaganwatch, get housing, get skudewinods ka jabachida, get njij kamaganisida, egunja jawi dabachimayatid, jaji mugnatum tayo. Stronominokia Dante Ewiji Magjoya Abitstake, Joya Abitstado gets Dabitagan notes, did you mugnatum? Eguyo Ndabich Ewijabichimayatska, Scudewi notes, inspections at Udmatske High Dig area youts, fire departments, Jajindo Duatado Chwashka Higanwa, Dabohem, at the Ganogan fire alarms, mugnatum, fire hydrants at the Ganoga. I wish you a wee chigika, a gajaji, Johnny Spit washka higanum nanot. It took conyo, you fire alarms, get fire hydrant, fire, it's a just way he jinga. If she did cheat, hey, Davidstein. So I'm going to see some that's getting young. We must stop at Chagan watch the G. They make it a watch to do them. Chiano a washka higanamic, Chiano geo dabanik. Jimu gnatum Jimu gnatum choya he a Chwashka higanum nokia. Aga jipshi dego. CCDIP's commitment, supporting participants to manage their insurance files, supporting risk management, promote insurance administrative guide. We also continue providing orientation to employees and also presentations to communities when requested. We will continue to work with the Cree Nation on the recent forest fires. Tugun genyan gen eske ekokoch the jake match jeep she did we with them. CCDIP will continue moving forward to help the Cree Nation on insurance matters, and we will also ensure adequate insurance coverage for the Cree Nation. Gumagunya ga shuke we sabichi tatska to do skadat. Moose to do it not madat. And a nugget your insurance files. Get under Jishia gomi. Aga yakoya to dispuyuk to an a spuitska. Get Diananim Shinhigan, I day moose. At the update to Yaskin Yange administrative guidelines that Gasangadet. Moose get a deduct. It's got that, it's good more assets that it's hagen once. It's good again, date go with you, insurance get. Ge, moose get, we bed and the badgemon insurance, the badgemon. It's good to get better wish I'm yet to deduction yet at down not. Moose gets good to gun. It's got that, shade check. Not mad that insurance. I did get a did mu. Should get insurance program to deduct. Ge, aga na shwe da did shuli out our insurance. Egan is master yet. Egan mag why sweet man that. Between China Kenyan, get your get a witchy that. Dan is not the man that said you with our insurance. Good was it did not meet any bed or the goods the badgemon geni ge. Or go ge, he date them. We go to Stodanans. Between the mona get your dan that get yanti at the dome use diet insurance program. Good naskum nan. Me quit.
Wajag say inuj. Agni Derek ni pasha gun jiste bed madaga and the bajum shinignan who that is nugget stats and skumun sulia nugget sagnut guest new company CREECO tanga viji david sidne bego punutat. Askam dat the bun who guys bed madat ayo num shinignan ka mesugun bun bed the bajum stats ka and meten agmine jin hiwa sejis bed madat nyun num shinignan kest it's better not jiwanji de ni gan new companies ka Jiji spejai mutko dan how is CREECO new company and I get stagniko kestani beji David Sidonda. Welcome to our 10th annual assembly for the Board of Compensation and CREECO. Today you'll be hearing from our representatives from each individual company. You'll get some information on the operations and the plans and objectives for each company. So we welcome you to our assembly today. And we hope you enjoy the presentations. GNG Nangapstkoyu companies ga go CREECO gam sega Egnot Egnusen company ga go G Bedon their board of directors Sammy Blacknett, Calvin Blacksmith, Patricia George, Josie Jemikin, Lloyd Meapo, Nian Moses, Ni Derek Niposh, Ningan Sten, Reggie Niposh, Kag Darren Wishi. That's good. I would guess the Ningan Pstoga, you just join EDC, having a company, Samad guest, a bit Stasud, and the Naku Abbots Nani, it's guessing Gabhamkt company, or Quebec, guessing Gamanjet company, Cree Construction, guessing Inu Realty Properties. The members I've just mentioned are also members of the board of directors for CREECO. These members also serve as the board of directors for Zistio ADC, Air Quebec, Cree Construction, and Inu Realty Properties. Many have asked, what is CREECO? CREECO is 100% owned by the Cree Nation. the people are its shareholders. The Board of Compensation had made a successful investment in creating CREECO back in 1982. Within CREECO, we encourage the diversification of our operations and also the diversification of revenue, not only within our territory, but also outside of EOSG. And we always support our companies to increase Cree employment and to ensure that Cree youth have access to such employment and training. So in today's presentations, I hope we can provide you with insight in terms of what the plans and intentions of each company has, and also to look at the future of each company. Dan how David Sido company got CREECO gas and gas with gas. And got much to each chick at Janu Inu, the Beushiku company, Janu Dexit, Beushik, Janu Eben Taiko company. A great out to Biden, Sulia, but Snagnud Gadget, Pagabo Hagnudu company, Detachen, James Paints Common Sulia go to Wiga. Jishagu Gajishagga, Nuganda awareness, Nanako at the Conyo Abbot Sion case, Skimuk, Guest G company, Jagan of Magnudoga. A gamble good beat in which cheats get the Conyo Abbot Sion Keston de we Matska. Kestag motion sheet mananji companies gaji utaskunado gesejit skudmodo you inu ke mugnde heistado ge inu de konyo abitsion ke mesgum jisga hay no mananjo enji en at konyo abitsion ke metenana ge atmatna juinskum nanun jisga je beden stoyats is but smatsu nem sinignan kesejisa Boxy Moyatska gets so did you speds Yim Hiatska so did you speds grades Miatso who each say to me Monion Stasunan guess them snaps come again Hegam Snadation now to quit Magno than they did you sped Moyatska. So today I want to thank you all for joining us, and I'm here to share the contact information. If you scan our QR code, you'll be able to access our website. If you have any questions or comments, there will be a time and place. So we hope you enjoy your day, and we hope you get back to us, communicate with us, and we wish you a nice day.
Hi, my name is David Pluta, and I'm an audit partner here at BDO Canada. I've been working here for over 20 years, and I'm the partner responsible for the CREECO group audit. So for the March 31st, 2025 year end, we have substantively completed the audit of the group. Our audit was performed in accordance with international financial reporting standards, where we issued a qualified opinion on the consolidated financial statements. Including in this audit were the following subsidiaries. So CREECO Construction Development Company, Gestion ADC, Valpiro, Air Quebec, Inu Realty Properties, 7041314 Canada Inc., 9256848830 Quebec Inc., and 92231018 Quebec Inc. So in a consolidated statements, all these companies get grouped together, they're all separate companies, but in the consolidated results, they all get grouped together and are reported as one big entity. So we did an extensive audit. Not only did we do the audit of the consolidated financial statement, we also did the audit of the subsidiaries and all the joint ventures that are included in the entire group. We did substantive testing to verify the appropriate assertions for each significant account. We also issued management recommendation letters to each of the subsidiary. We did not identify any significant deficiencies in internal control during our work. We did not detect any illegal activities or acts during our audit work. There were no disagreements with management. And as auditors, we have to confirm our independence related to the group. So I confirm that BDO and myself are independent related to the CREECO group. If we look at the balance sheet, so this is the total assets, we could see they went up a bit from 249 million to 250 million. So not a big change if you look at the overall picture. However, when we look at individually, you can see the property and equipment went from 148 to 171 million. So that's an increase of about 23 million. Sorry, the main reason for that is the purchase of 2 ATR aircrafts, which increased, which were substantive purchases. So that the assets went up by about 23 million, the long-term assets. But if we look at the current assets, you have went from 90 to 70 million. Basically what happened was there was a refund of the advances from a related party. There was a $20 million that was paid back, which was there because of a sale of land that CREECO did to its related party. You could also see there was a little bit more cash at the end of the year, 7 million last year, 15 million this year, so more than doubled. The accounts receivable went down from 52 million to 44 million, so $8 million decrease, which is good. So you know, all those current assets went in, and they partly went in to finance you know, some of your purchases of property and equipment. If we look at the liabilities and shareholders' equity, so again, the total went up by a bit, you know, from 249 to 250. But if we look at the detail, so the first line, the bank indebtedness, so last year there was an amount on the line of credit of 19 million, and now this year is 0. So that's again directly related with the page before. We saw that there was a 20 million that was paid from a related party. So that amount was directly used to repay the line of credit. So now it's at 0 at the end of the year. And if we look at your long-term debt, so that's the other amount that varied for the year. So the total, if we add up the short-term and the long-term portion, so this year it's about 23 million. And if we look at last year, it's about 5.5 million. So the increase again is some part of the purchase of those 2 aircrafts were done through long-term debt. So that explains that. If we look at the shareholders' equity, you know, you could see the evolution, how, you know, in terms of total profit, total accumulated profit, the group has been. So if we look at 10 years ago, it was around the maybe 90 million mark. Now we're almost, we're just below the 160 million mark. So, you know, almost, you know, we're trending to double in size, you know, very soon in terms of your equity, which is great. And if we look at your income statement, so this year there was a net income of 1.2 million. If we look at the top number, which is the total revenue, went from 193 million to 174 million, so about a 20 million drop. That's mainly because there were some large construction projects that were finished in this year. So a lot less revenue, while last year in 2024 there was a lot of big construction, a few big construction projects that had a lot of revenue. So now as they're closing down, less revenue during the year. So that's basically, you know, big picture reason why you know, the variance of the revenue. And then the income statement went down a bit. So there was a few of the companies that had not as good years as the year before, but still overall you have a positive, you know, over $1 million of profit in the group. And we look at the total revenue. So for the last, you know, 8 years, about, you could see we're, you know, on a consolidated basis, you're hovering around the $150 million mark. 2021, it's much lower. That was the year, so that was year-end March. So that was like most of that year was under COVID, where a lot of the operations were shut down. Then you can see 2022, 2023, you see a big ramp and a big increase. So in 2021, the revenues were maybe 110 million, and then in 2023, it went up to 200 million. As some of those large construction projects were kind of at the beginning where a lot of construction was done, and in 2024 it was still there, and now 2025 you're seeing the end of those large construction projects. And in terms of net income, you could see, for the last 10 years we've been, fairly positive. 2023 there was a loss, but if you look, except for that year, every year there was a positive net income. For 2021, that was a bit of an extraordinary item. So there was a piece of property that the group sold to its related party in order for the Odeya project to come to life. So there was an accumulated gain on that land that was purchased many, many years ago that resulted in about a $20 million profit. So that's why 2021 is maybe an outlier here in the year. But if we look besides that, you're looking at, profits around the 5 million. At the beginning of those years in 2017, 2016, you had, close to $10 million profits, for various reasons, and then, as the years go by, prices increased, the competition increased. So those were, those early years were a bit extraordinary, but now we're looking at still, good profits, last year and this year a bit too. So, just to summarize, some highlights for the year. So the revenues of the group finished at 174 million. The decrease in those revenues were due to large-scale construction projects being completed in the current year. If we look at the balance sheet, so the big differences are the advance from the Board of Compensation of 20 million was repaid, which is related to the Odeya land purchase, and then that was used to repay the line of credit. Profit of the year of 1.2 million. And then, record retained earnings at about 160 million to finish the year. So that concludes, my audit findings and my summarized report. Thank you all for your time, and I want to wish everybody a happy end of summer. Thank you.
Hello everyone, welcome to CREECO Construction and Development Company's portion of the General Assembly. Let me introduce myself. My name is Danny Pash. I am the President of CREECO Construction and Development Corporation. CCDC proudly reflects on 49 years of exceeding strategic goals in construction, sustainability, and community development. As the company approaches a huge milestone, our 50th anniversary, this milestone represents not just longevity, but enduring values, quality, and strong partnerships, especially with Indigenous communities. Landmark projects, new technologies, and sustainable practices have strengthened CCD's impact. Looking ahead, the focus remains on sustainable growth, innovation, and community satisfaction. Gratitude is extended to the team, partners, and community for building a long-lasting legacy together. CCDC is a story that began in 1976. Born from the GBNQA, CCDC was created with a clear vision to build, to grow, and to prosper. Since 2003, CCDC has undergone rapid and sustainable growth with over 350 projects completed, over 1.5 billion in investments, and a major presence in Quebec, Ontario, and Manitoba. CCDC has been a driving force for the Cree Nation government with the creation of long-term local jobs, strong community involvement, and Indigenous leadership in the construction sector. In 2026, CCDC will celebrate its 50th anniversary, a future rooted in 50 years of success. One of the areas that we identified in our strategic plan that we wanted to improve upon is technological modernization, specifically project management. We are proud to say that we have implemented a new Autodesk software. The introduction of this construction management system will give us the integration of all project phases from planning to closure. We have completed full staff training, and we have used the software for process optimization. We are now happy to say we have a complete optimization and integration of the project management software Autodesk. Construction project tracking with Autodesk software will provide us with some strategic advantages, some of which are real-time project tracking. We can monitor progress across all phases with up-to-date data on tasks, milestones, and resources, enabling faster, informed decisions. Early issue detection. We can use the system's alert features to identify delays, cost overruns, or risks early, so if we can act before they escalate. We also have a centralized collaboration in keeping all of the project documentation, communications, and updates in one platform to eliminate information silos and improve team coordination. Finally, optimized workflow integration. This is a huge advantage because we can use it we can connect planning, execution, and invoicing and reporting within a single environment to streamline operations and reduce administrative work. Quality is paramount for us, and we are proud to say that we are ISO 9001 certified. Not only are we ISO certified, but we are pioneers in this particular sector. We are the first Indigenous entity to be ISO 9001 certified in Canada in 1998, an early commitment to our excellence. For 27 years, we have migrated towards continuous improvement. Quality assurance is guaranteed through our ISO 9001 certification as a company-wide practice. It also gives us competitive advantages as it gives us a certification to set us apart in the market. It demonstrates our commitment to operational excellence. A large portion of our success is based on our strategic partnerships. Our partnerships are founded on shared values. These values are heritage, sustainability, and quality, with a focus on delivering efficient, environmentally compliant projects. By combining expertise in major projects, it aims to accelerate and improve construction and execution. This strategy prioritizes optimizing Indigenous resources to maximize local economic benefits, making the start of a collaboration that will enhance project performance and strengthen relationships. Why CCDC as a partner? Well, we are a 100% Indigenous-owned company, proud of its roots and its heritage. We have 49 years of experience built on reliability, quality, and innovation, and we have recognized expertise in the northern regions. Our strengths are high bonding capacity, a large fleet of heavy equipment, and comprehensive logistical solutions, including camps, restaurants, and supportive infrastructure. Why choose us? We are a company rooted in our values and in our territory. We are fast and efficient in execution and capacity. Our expertise is tailored to large-scale projects in remote regions. CCDC and the Cree community, a winning partnership. Our Indigenous and non-Indigenous workforce for 2024-2025 are comprised of 74 Indigenous workers, 65 non-Indigenous workers, for a total of 139. Nemska Innu joint venture comprised of 87 Indigenous workforce, and Chibi Construction is comprised of 85% Indigenous workforce. 53% of our employees are Indigenous, not including subcontractors. One thing I would really like to emphasize, and this is something that we're very proud of at CCDC, is $3.2 million increased salaries were paid in 2024-2025. We have a huge economic footprint in the communities with the salaries that we return to the people and to the First Nations. As is quality, another cornerstone at CCDC is health and safety. Safety is our top priority, and a culture of workplace health and safety is based upon all accidents are preventable, ensuring the safety of every task, making safe work habits a condition, and adapting a safe behavior at all times. We have developed our health and safety policy over the years and continue to enhance our prevention program in order to prevent all accidents. Our total business volume for 2024-2025 is approximately $58 million for CCDC and all of its joint ventures. Of the $58 million of projects for 2024-2025, Our majority comes from civil works at 47%. The next highest is service contracts at 22%, followed by building works at 19%, and a total of 12% for road maintenance. Of the $58 million, we have significant purchases, and I'd like to share that CCDC and its joint ventures have done over more than $32 million of total purchases, and exclusively more than $5 million directly to CREE entities for local purchases. CCDC and its joint ventures are proud to announce that over the past 20 years, more than $153 million have been paid in wages to the First Nations members, and the vast majority awarded to the CREEs. Since 2004, CCDC and its partners have disbursed an additional $122 million for purchases of construction materials, equipment, rentals, subcontracting, and more from various CREE and other First Nation service providers. Since 2004, over $275 million, more than $250 million, have been reinvested directly within to our native entities, our native people, and our native culture. Why is this so important? Well, the benefits that we bring to the community are crucial. The circle remains unbroken with CCDC. We employ locally, the profits stay within the community, and the community benefits from the local economic development. We support local CREE businesses, we support local jobs and local training of the CREEs, and we subcontract to CREE suppliers and CREE entities. This ensures that CCDC and the CREE communities are participating in various projects together. The circle remains unbroken, the economic development stays within the community. Our expertise include, but are not limited to, civil works for sewers, aqueducts, roads, dikes, shore stabilization, building works, medical clinics, recreational centers, schools, gymnasiums, airport terminals and residential units, environmental and special projects such as decontamination and site rehabilitation. We also have the capacity for construction management and engineering, technical maintenance, airport services, crushing, asphalt production, and concrete production. Currently, we sit at approximately $20 million in heavy equipment fleet, including but not limited to wheel loaders, excavators, graders, bulldozers, trucks, 10-wheel trucks, concrete plants, asphalt plants, generators, vacuum trucks, backhoes, service trucks. Some of the benefits we bring to the Cree Nation are local employment. We create local job opportunities and we promote local economic development. We also provide training, specialized training programs for the community, and we also do community partnerships. Close collaboration with local organizations. We support significant social and cultural initiatives. We also do sustainability, environmentally and culturally respectful projects. One of our most successful partnerships is Nemaska Innu Company joint venture. Over the last 2 years, we've had several successful projects with over $20 million in projects completed. Some of the projects are roads and arm road maintenance from kilometer 132 to kilometer 407, some of the Nemaska infrastructures such as the cemetery expansion and the roof on the outdoor skating rink. CCDC has, through the joint venture of Nemaska Innu Company, has provided significant economic benefits for Nemaska, including the significant hiring of local workforce and significant local purchasing. With stability and promising growth on the horizon, CCDC and NDC, Nemaska Development Corporation, are proud to announce that under Nemaska Innu Corp, a new investment project that will bring positive impacts to the Nemaska community. We are going to be opening up a new gas bar called the Nemaska Gas Bar. On the left is the old gas bar, and on the right is the new gas bar. Projected for 2025, 2026, and completion in 2027. The Nemaska Innu joint venture has had strong economic outcomes. With a trusted partnership between CCDC and the Nemaska Development Corporation, NEC was established in October 1st, 1990, and has had over 35 years of collaboration and impact. Along those lines are a proven track record of over 100 projects completed and a huge over $375 million of value delivered on time and on budget. What does this mean? This means a strong financial performance. several $million in profits, economic returns, dividends paid back to the Nemaska Innu Company and to the Nemaska Development Corporation. We've also had hundreds of thousands of hours of local workforce employment, a number we are very, very proud of. And we've had a commitment to local talent with over $15 million in local salaries paid to Cree employers, supporting the local economy since 1990. Now here's a quick overview of some of the projects that CCDC and its joint ventures are working on at the moment. Road maintenance on the Rudzanar from kilometer 132 to 407. Widening of a 5-kilometer section of road at Kujawarpik. Road maintenance of the Trans-Tega Road from kilometer 220 to 437. In the background you can see our new grader. Relocation of the wastewater treatment facilities in Wiminji. Street paving in Wapmugstoop. Social housing 52 units in Waskaganish. So for the new projects in 2025-2026, we are at approximately $80 million in value and climbing. 48% are for civil works, 31% are for building works, 13% are service contracts, and 9% are road maintenance. In conclusion, I would like to thank members of various boards, all of our partners and members of the management team, and of course, all of our employees. CCDC, at the heart of the community. Thank you. Miigwech.
Good day, everyone. This will be the report from Zestio ADC for the annual assembly. So we welcome all our listeners today. To start off the presentation, I'd like to introduce to you our management team at ADC. I serve as president of the company. Our general manager is Michel Duguay. Our senior financial controller is Lucie Bissonnette. Our director of procurement is Emily Forestier. Our senior HR advisor is Victoria Domenko. Our director of operations is Catherine Baudet. Our deputy director of facility management is Eric Rondo. Under special projects, we have Guy Leperrière, and our business partner is Francois Clément. Wajag Mshagu, Jaimud Mano, Zestio ADC, company Biet Stasud Geste, Esmadayo, Abitisiu, and Nakunde, the Konyun, Abitisiu Nanka. Niningan Pstenya, Abidu company president and Davidson, Egunji, it's bed not Mudo, then how Niningan Pstaka, and I get stagnant you, Mshinijagum Guga, Michel Gay. Nesulia nagit sagnud Lucy Bissonnette so kes nega ganagit sadu it's good mognido Emily Forestier so kun nigan nagit sadgan you have see sum se a simstumod gagna Victoria Domenko Catherine Baudet ngasun nagit sadm senyo ayo dan how is mbiko gets boyo kun deputy director David Sidga new Nakuayo Waskagin can I get Sagniko Eric Rondo David Sunio. New to go Skyco Hagno Technico special projects Guy Leperrière is so business partner and I get Sagnot and I get Sagnot with Agnots gets near Nakuayo Francois Clément he's so. This to me we watch him Dauga to madnanga unjiska utatsa puntka pego punte utatska gnotegnots nasta wems tinji nit skenana et work is nakud go is psycho ka embitagnot company ga gestaga and jignotenanga gestan tan how is buximatsid jiwenji squatsid ga ji companies ga ewi david simatsid gestag ji sichim gnans ganji board of directors ga Jejis nandit mats min kudigwies jejis gnot mats abit siun ke. Agagin he nastawe hem sad me godin abit siun again. For Zestio ADC, the year has been very challenging in many ways at a macro and micro level. We've realized throughout the year that we've had a strong reliance on few clients, and this has identified significant risk within the operations. With risk can also come opportunity, and the board has encouraged the company to start looking at other opportunities and explore into new markets. And this is a lot of the work that has been done for this past year. And I want to congratulate the team on making that effort. And, with the new horizons in the future, we look at, Zestio ADC expanding into new markets, not only within EUC, but also abroad. Some of the strategies and perspectives that we look into is, we need to take a time to self-reflect and also adapt to the changing needs of our clients. It's a constant change within any industry. We want to be agile. We also want to make sure that we can increase our internal accountability, for the sake of transparency. We also want to look at different ways of generating revenue for the company. And, when we move along, we also want to build, meaningful relationships with a broader range of partners, not only within the CREE territory, but outside of our territory. And we also want the company to be in a position, where we can withstand market fluctuations, meaning that we have to be prepared to adapt to a changing world, in any business. And we also have to look at the demographics, looking at the commitment of what we want to improve in. If it's a certain service, we want to make sure that we have the ability and the tools to do it. We also want to build a more stable company, and we also want to make sure that the company has a future, for expansion. With all that, I think there would be a need to leverage our newly obtained RBQ license, to pursue other work in a different industry. But still, ik not much with that company. I'm saying what you think, because it's on Jejis not much than how is we company than how Jejis David Sinde any stamps. Guess go Jejis not condemning ganska. That's the way Cebu at which one have with Agnoto company again. That's the way the book say Tagun could request Jejis not the matter of it soon. Guess Jejis no matches you and Jej with Abit matches. Then how Jejis Moji Gabudo company. Guess Jej the conyo Abit soon they we the match and they cheats. I need to go up at second not much. Guess Neo ignore mat neo in the machine Hignanka. Jagak Sunny, I asked. Jejis not much can you go to Cabit soon. I'm near Jeji Skugabudo company. Chet to go Mbume was not much a shabit seeked match in Hibuida Amneo company. Some of the ongoing projects under Zestio ADC, many know that we provide catering and cleaning services to remote camps such as Nemsk Lithium at the Wabushi camp. We also provide the same services to Hydro-Quebec in the West sector. We provide those services as well with the Wallbridge mining at the Fenlon camp. Recently with the Stornoway Diamonds Camp Renard camp, we're providing the same service but more under a care and maintenance operation. We also provide the catering services for the CREE Health Board for patients staying at the Espresso Hotel in Montreal. We also have a small side contract with the Sisters of Notre Dame in Montreal, not Montreal, but Chicoutimi. Dege abitiats me gods go dete nemska hydro gestu dete amos dete Gudeto konjun da abitiunanka kes GNG smagnudo de NG actually nudge en haget sagnudo go de dado skudum che semano go NG dado de Montreal ga gun nyan hen David Sinan he smatches ga GNG en badon de espresso hotel de Montreal ga that way munagan amnen he udeke tokonyo abitiun ka gesta gesten ji usmauds ga isnga dagnitset ga gunji abij edud moyatsit ne biet stationari ne wich donji tu Pastiu goyuti say I would mother again you to get snitskmats dan how is spent Max Skagat gan you to go case is bets buiko ka Egun bergen he gnob magnut gan he sulia dan it stack se du det chega sawen se de stack hobike is channel gesne nuts nanuts dan how is split today no stis ga avges stack hob nanuna Egnot egnuts ne ga market ga donuts ga na stawe he yakods buga gest mu state agen dan how di split ga de ni stamps ga agen you to en aget stats ga Gest I think we not en again unim sin hignant gesnian dan den how am neji ja buatska we do matten David Sunan Gest not technicon you ni stamps in that chega dan how jis Mubuido company ga jiji dugni yaite David Sunan de ni stamps Some of the key challenges facing the company is the instability of certain markets, related to mining development in the USG. As we all know, there's a lot of uncertainty on markets, when it comes to mining minerals, material coming from mines, and this has led to delays in several projects. So that affects our attempts in terms of trying to secure work within the territory. We also have to, pull back and look at, what types of strategies and look at, the strengthening of resilience within the company. But our commitment in advancing and sustainable development will always be part of our operations, and we're always looking for innovative ways to meet these challenges. Jin David Saganan say we station mim saying ut yemtan ut station na sta we have shasu ke muk to what did na guys utas knag dog to the kest that needs to don't say David Saganan ga not me again you station ke pe bunde ut that me skogits ke pe bunde ut that kan jisu maybe some ke sta we no gneji yes we go new station ke when big to on not much ke dan am neji shit stats new station just we David see matches get you good get with town ke guess with the book same way at you tweet she gets just some statistics in terms of HR. You'll see that the numbers here speak for themselves. There's been a decrease in positions within the company because of the closure of a mine has a big impact on our level of employees. It's unfortunate, but it's something that we have to face and also try to remedy as we go along, by finding other sources of work, not only within USG but also outside. I'd like to share just a few client testimonials. 3 of our bigger clients, appreciate the work that we do, and we thank them for, sharing their thoughts with us. From Stornoway Diamonds, had mentioned as EDC is a responsible company that offers excellent service. Hydro Quebec has given us a big thank you, for the help that we have provided during the wildfires. And Walbridge Mining also thanks us for the presence at the opening of the cultural center. Our participation helped it make it a success. Jiwenji da we David Simatic Ganji and Utsnedo Hydro Kesta Nastawe Mjojmeuga your company Buximado Gajis Muichi Dog Kestaji Dyson Teji to each Hagno Ganjis when G Mewaji Stabwitska and Mewaja Gapsidetsga that you hadn't scale. Kesta Yavins no Kunan and how a Diatson day. I you to each Hatchi Nudska. We need to work, I guess, a bit, but Snikoga bit and Skumgatsga. When it comes to partnerships, it is very important that we create strong ties with any partner, and bridge gaps. We also want to have, to provide that access to new technologies and innovate our operations, within the janitorial and catering market, and we look at different ways on how we could improve our operations for the sake of efficiency, and have access to the latest technology. We also have to look at strengthening the credibility of looking at how our partners want to align ourselves together in terms of pursuing different types of work. We also have to look at sharing risk, optimizing resources for greater resilience, so that'll be a very key factor in any partnership. Also, recognition is very central to our strategy, ensuring that our partners have equal say, equal involvement, and equal identity within our partnerships. We also want to emphasize, the role of each partner, in ensuring that we have the needed success, on a long-term basis for the benefit of both the partner and ourselves. We always wanted to maintain, and we always will maintain, 100% Indigenous majority when forming our partnerships. Whether if it's a company that's non-Indigenous, we want to make sure that we have that ability to ensure that the majority of the company remains Indigenous owned. And we also look at the access to different sources of subsidies. We're always searching for various programs under the governments to ensure that we could access funding from outside, but also using resources such as training and applying new technologies. And then we also want to make sure that we leverage our board members, to make sure that we have the knowledge and to ensure that contracts our contract information is being shared amongst our partners. Negnot match ne utgoik is not muitagnut scanas ta wem sau ne utgoik bukshe tax gaji age gabudu company egamukji snacks de big gabud kesteji yawad gawe uchi not my good now gadget which would not going to go not much go with Agnostic company ega mug pego and jis to needs gadget yad sunyo I damn say when jis yasumi do dog and you sunyo guess the januga in would say with the belshik say subsidizing company ga guess then not go to go not technical and talented youth nagno da sulia august talented youth we share with am ne mi we hagno do company ga. But you go case book that gas edgicam get a go you certificates I don't go stawem chenka jis chicam gaska who got big bunde that's guest there that's as Sinjana and Sinigan ISO RBQ CCIB pair silver francisation bien au travail aliments Quebec Cheney Sinigan Jicab Gatska Quaska days Dude Matson and David Sunanga with that company. So some of the certifications that were attained under ADC involve ISO certification. There's different levels of ISO certification. Recently, it was we were awarded the we attained our RBQ license as well as a company, and we also were recognized under the CCIB pair silver program, and then there's the francisation, bien au travail, and Aliments du Quebec certification. So this level of certification gives us the reputation that we need as a janitorial and catering company. Good day, Nistam check not much which guy the that's the way no gonna a attribute to on guess the Digis gas get to on I think we cannot then and Nistam stand how this date conji when you with David matches. Guess I'm not I gabu haya to company guess nan date could they could have got soon get it sheets guess they read much. Guess the cannot match it to indeed conji jiga dega down to an indeed taco have it soon. Guess they said it is to go new to work it is do mat modes guiska here wouldn't have it soon. Guess it is not much sky con that it is not the match you have it soon. Guess it is the con you could have it soon. We move it and how she's got. As the next chapters, we're always ready to adapt to change, and we've always talked about expanding the needs of our clients. The expectations of our clients are always changing, and we're ready to adapt to that. And we also want to make sure that we can strengthen our position within the market, by offering a wider range of services, and also looking at the needs of our local stakeholders, whether if it's training, support, access to other resources. We're always open to doing that. We would also have a very strong interest in obtaining all the necessary tools to provide the highest quality service, and also strengthening and building new relationships with new partners. As Outlook, we want to introduce new services that align with our expertise and respond to emerging demands, develop a cohesive structure for efficient coordination across all our service areas, maintain a high standard of quality, meaning that we want to make sure that we can always have the best service for our clients, and also solution-oriented operations, so that our clients can rely on us when it comes to problematic issues, that we can have solutions on hand. And more importantly is to be resilient and diverse in terms of the type of revenue that we anticipate within the company. As I'm saying, we think the bottom start out modes we do mat and David soon and guess it's not mat with the David soon. When 8 stages on the machine he can out. Guess the cannot take notes. Tant how mode stage the cock habit soon. I need to wait. It's not much, and then he stamps. How much they the Promatska to scum nom sage or Inudska. Think he spades no quail guess so guess they spade Shichimatska. And these Muitatska company, we went never with Agnoto company, and Mugavage books him when and then he stamped Nejemi Widow company, I guess it is notes January the big sheet day, they should be Taiko company. So as we close, I just want to thank once again everyone for your support and dedication. We want to thank the partners and also the staff, and we also want to make sure that we continue building a company that we can all be proud of. And I wish you all the best, and as the saying goes, the future is ours. Agadi Spsazo and the Bajamunan, just Buksita Jamiubiog. So I thank you all very much. Have a nice day. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Tanya Pash, and I'm president of Air Quebec. At Air Quebec, our mission is to safely, comfortably, and reliably fly you and your goods to your destination. Our slogan is "We aim higher." If you want to consult this chart in a bit more detail, it is available on our website. Here's a snapshot of our management team. You can see that we have a Vice President, Sylvain Ernie, who's the VP of Flight Ops, and our VP of Finance, Sylvain. Most of our managers have at least 15 to 20 years experience, and some are over 30 years in aviation. We are proud to say that Air Quebec is 100% EU owned. We have been in business for 43 years, which is one of the longest that an aviation company has been in business in Canada. We have over 400 employees and have improved employee retention. We have 20 aircraft with impeccable maintenance. We are there to support evacuations, be it from forest fires and floods. We acquired a new Dash 8 cargo, and we got the ATR cargo aircraft on our operating certificate. We are exploring various opportunities, including the possibility of flying into the St. Hubert Airport to expand our network. Here's a video from our Chief Dispatcher, Nancy Lupien, to talk a little bit about her day.
Chief Dispatcher. During the day, we mostly monitor weather. That's the biggest part of our job. Of course, runway surface condition and the weights of the aircraft. We need a takeoff alternate when a takeoff occurs at or below landing minimums. So that means we need a safe place to go if we have a mechanical problem on takeoff and we cannot land at the same airport again. We're restricted by a lot of things, by the length of the runway. So below 3,500 is restricted most of the time. Surface condition, any contaminants, even water can reduce weight at takeoff or landings. Fuel load also affects the weight because we need extra fuel sometimes for further alternates. All our decisions are based on the safety of the flights. We need to make sure that we bring everybody home safe. We need good enough weather, a good place to go if the weather is not good enough or if there's anything that will not permit us to land at the chosen airport. When there's irregular operations, we communicate our bad weather. We talk to the captains or the pilots at each station before each leg. We review weather. We can even talk to them when they are in flight with the latitude, the messages. We're always in communications with the pilot. That's how we ensure that flights are always safe at Air Quebec.
Now that you've heard a bit about our operations and how our flights are managed, here's a little bit about our fleet. At Air Quebec, we have two Dash 8 300s, which is a 50-passenger aircraft. We have 16 Dash 8 100s, which is a 37-passenger aircraft. We have an ATR cargo aircraft. And we have one Dash 8 100 cargo aircraft. Some of the statistics in 2024 is that we had 193,000 passengers, which was up from 180,000. We had 20,300 departures, which was up from 19,900. We've flown 17,426 hours versus 2023 of 16.6 thousand. And our miles flown had increased to 4.1 million from 2023 volume of 4 million. In pounds and freight, we did 20 million pounds of mail and freight, which was up from the 2023 volume of 17,700,000. Some people have questions about how our schedules are built for the flight crew. Here's our crew.
My name is Vincent Beaulieu. I'm a crew scheduler at Air Quebec. Well, first we need to make sure that all flights are covered, that we have every positions accounted for, and then we also need to make sure we have reserves for unforeseen events or extra charters that might come in. When assigning duties, we need to keep in mind a few regulations, including maximum duty time for a given day, minimum rest time, and minimum amount of days off in any given period. Between flights, the minimum amount of rest is 12 hours, and we need to make sure that the delays or any unsuspected circumstances do not bring us below that amount, or we need to replace the crew. A crew member can work a maximum amount of time in a day based on the departure time of their flight, the amount of legs they are doing, as well as the length of each of them. So there's a lot of factors that can modify the maximum duty of a single crew member. A crew member on reserve is a crew member that is ready to be called in for work within 2 hours. So if we have something unexpected, extra work, or replacement that is needed, we can call them in. The most challenging part of crew scheduling is adapting to every situation. Whatever happens, we need to make sure that the flights are still covered and the rules are respected. So that means a lot of creative solutions. At Air Quebec, it's incredibly important to have optimal crew scheduling because it enables us to make sure that the client's demands are met. And that is how at Air Quebec we make sure that our crew members are always ready.
We have over 400 employees at Air Quebec. About 2/3 of them are in Quebec and 1/3 in Ontario. You'll see that we have a lot of Indigenous employees and roles and jobs of meaning, including first officer, captain, aircraft engineer, and chief flight attendant. Hamish Dowling is a Cree from Sesame and started his career at Air Quebec as a groomer. He left to go to school, and we were proud to hire him back as an aircraft maintenance engineer. Here's Hamish to tell you a little bit about his day and how he keeps Air Quebec safe.
Hi, my name is Hamish Dowling. I'm an aircraft maintenance engineer for Air Quebec. An AME ensures the aircraft is safe and airworthy through scheduled maintenance, daily inspections. First thing we do when an aircraft comes into the hangar is we talk to the flight crew to see if there's any issues that they need to report. Then we review the logbook to check the times. We have scheduled maintenance, daily inspections. We inspect the aircraft components to identify problems or problems that could happen. We have different types of checks, like A checks, C checks, which are based on hours flown or calendar time, whichever comes first. Each of the checks has different levels of inspections that we do. For example, the 4A check, it's mainly on the landing gears, while there's other checks where it's on the secondary drive shaft, flaps. The most interesting part of the job for me is that no day is like the same. One day you'll be working on landing gear, the next day you'll be working on a different system. You're always learning something new every day. The best part about working on Air Quebec's fleet is, in a way, I'm giving back to the communities, ensuring that the aircraft are airworthy to transport the passengers or patients.
Air Quebec is trying to promote its social media presence, and we have seen some growth. So in the follower growth, we have grown to 13,680, which is an increase of 192%. The impressions and the views went up to 3.24 million, which is an increase of almost 6%. Engagement, shares, likes, and comments, there's been over 217,000 interactions, which was an increase of 780%. One of the post spotlights was the ATR door closing, which had 127,000 views and 5,600 interactions. Air Quebec is proud to give back to the communities by donating flight tickets. You can see that we give back to the communities that we serve and have awarded almost $540,000 worth of flight tickets to the communities. Going forward, Air Quebec will continue to monitor its routes and look at developing new routes and markets. We're looking to increase our charter activity, have continuous improvements within the company, improve our GREET trends, and prioritize CREE entities. Another way that Air Quebec gives back to the communities it serves is through emergency flights, such as when Cree Nation of Chesapeake ran out of drinking water, we were proud to organize a flight. And on the right-hand side, you'll see a picture of an aircraft that's being fueled to go on an evacuation from forest fires. The ATR Cargo is the newest aircraft that Air Quebec has added to its fleet. If you want to get an idea of what it can do in flight, here's a quick video that we worked on with ATR. Air Quebec has operated Hawker Siddeley 748s for many, many years now. We were the last air operator of HS 748s in the Northern Hemisphere. We were proud to give a donation to the Canadian Aviation Museum of Canada, where the Hawker will be on full and permanent display. You'll see in the top left-hand corner, the Hawker, when it arrived in Windsor at the museum, it received a water cannon salute, which is a sign of respect. You had the last crew who flew it into Windsor, and you have a picture of the Hawker on its normal operations on a daily basis. You're invited to check out the Canadian Aviation Museum website for more videos of the aircraft. Thank you and have a great day. Hi, my name is Tanya Pash and I'm president of Valpiro. Valpiro has a smaller board of directors than CREECO. His board members are Derek Neposh, Darren Wisty, and Josie Jimikin. As president, I'm supported by Dominic Gagnon, who's the director general. Some of the highlights from 2024 and 2025 were that in Val-d'Or, we're the main ground handler and provider. We saw an increase of 10% number in flights served, and 2 million pounds of cargo were handled. We had 100% occupancy in the buildings owned by the company. And some of the challenges that we did face were increase in operating costs and difficulty in recruiting. It's been a number of years that Valpiro has had its services in La Grande. However, on May 1st, 2025, the main client wanted to provide its own services, so Valpiro shut down its La Grande operations. However, in the fiscal year preceding, we handled 24 million pounds of cargo, and after we rented our airport installations to Air Inuit on a long-term basis. Some of the challenges that we've experienced were increase in operating costs and difficulty in recruiting locally. Valpiro has two buildings in Val-d'Or. They are located on Rue de la Québécoise, right near the old shopping mall. There is 19,000 square feet of rental space between the two buildings, and we have tenants such as the Cree Nation government, an engineering firm, and an office for a dentist. Human resources at Valpiro, we have 15 employees in Val-d'Or. We had 25 employees at La Grande. However, at the end of the contract, we transferred them to Air Inuit. Just one director was transferred from LG2 to Val-d'Or. Some of the achievements that we accomplished this year was we were instrumental in servicing cargo. We ensured the service of emergency flights. We had a 97% on-time performance for aircraft turnaround. Over 160 aircraft were de-iced during the winter, and more than 2,500 aircraft were fueled. Looking forward, Valpero will continue to look for expansion opportunities at other airports. And we have initiated discussions with groups who are interested in the field of airport services. We do participate at local and regional career fairs through CREECO. You can see on the left-hand side a picture of the Valpero de-icing truck de-icing an air Inuit aircraft. And on the right-hand side, the fuel truck servicing an Air Quebec aircraft. Thank you and have a great day.
Wajaga ku Jedwazim Stadat Winnipeg Moog, the Valdor, Muitagno, good quality and suites. Then David Saganan.
Hello everyone. It's a pleasure to be with you for this 2025 assembly. We're pleased to present the report of the Quality Inn and Suites Val-d'Or, a subsidiary of CREECO. Our company is directed by the Board of Directors, consisting of Derek Niposh, Darren Wischy, Tanya Pash, Calvin Blacksmith, and Nian Moses. My name is Alexandre Audet. I have been the general manager of the hotel for nearly 10 years. This is my management team. I would like to acknowledge that our controller, Carmen, reached 10 years of service this year. We're currently in a very exciting phase in our history, as we add 42 new rooms, including 19 one-bedroom suites with full kitchen to our hotel, as well as a new meeting room and other amenities like our unique rooftop patio. Everything should be ready in the summer of 2026. Work has begun, and the KG2 team, a local contractor, is on site. The project is managed by EERP, CREECO's real estate subsidiary. We focus on controlling costs and minimizing disruption for our customers. We are proud to announce that we have received a Green Key certification recognizing our actions in sustainable development. You will notice several green aspects during your stay at the hotel. For example, the use of LED lights throughout the hotel, an energy saving system in every room, and the shampoo and lotion dispensers in the bathrooms. All this is possible thanks to our team of 45 employees. We are currently hiring housekeepers. Some positions are available. And last spring, we were present at the Indigenous Career Fair along with ADC. We have a partnership with ADC for human resources management and with ASD for training opportunities. Speaking of training, several of our new employees were able to take the PWASEA training this year. It helps them better understand history, culture, and realities of the First Nation, with the aim of offering an inclusive workplace for all. This year, we once again received an award from Choice Hotels Canada for customer satisfaction. We maintain our place among the best hotels in the chain. The award is given to the top 3% of the better hotels out of more than 350 in the country. This is the 13th consecutive year that we have received an award. Brian Leon, the CEO of Choice Hotels Canada, came to present the award to our employees and highlight the importance of our beautiful property to them. He came straight from Toronto and he was very surprised at how cold and snowy we had here in April. We also received an award from the Val-d'Or Chamber of Commerce recognizing our efforts for sustainable development. Look how well we were dressed for the gala. You too want to travel in style while getting the best prices? Become a member of Choice Privileges Rewards. It's a free program that allows you to get a discount on every stay at our hotel and points redeemable for gift cards or free nights. Talk to one of our team members at the front desk if you wish to enroll. Thank you for listening, and we look forward to welcoming you to the Quality Inn and Suites in Val-d'Or.
Hello and welcome to the EU Renew Realty Properties presentation. On the agenda today, I will start with a quick historical background on ERP's mission and activities. Then I will present the ODEA project, followed by our project management division activities. And last, I'll do an update of ERP's today's activities. So, bit of historical background. ERP was originally created as a holding of CREECO real estate assets, and that included the Montreal properties that are located at 255, 271, and 277 Duke Street that were purchased in 1995 and 2015 respectively. These properties were rented to commercial, office, and light industrial tenants until 2019, when the ODEA project came to light for this site. The CCDC office in Laval is also part of the CREECO real estate assets. On to ODEA now. So, project overview. The project was designed in collaboration with First Nation renowned architect Douglas Cardinal. And the main features of the project, it's a 26-floor building. It has 359 rental apartments, 67 condo units, some commercial spaces on the ground floor. It holds the offices of the Cree Nation government. We also have for the tenants 2 outdoor rooftop swimming pools, a fitness center, a few lounge areas, and some shared working spaces and conference rooms. The construction of the building was completed in fall of 2024. You can see a couple of pictures of the building as it stands today, inside and outside. And these are pictures of the Cree Nation government office that is in our building. Now, ERP also provides project management services, and we're currently managing the Quality Inn and Suite Hotel expansion in Val-d'Or. So as I mentioned, ERP was engaged by CNG, Cree Nation Government, and BOC, as well as Quality Inn, to provide turnkey project management services for the expansion work of the hotel in Val-d'Or. The construction is ongoing from May 2025 to August 2026, and the project is currently on budget and on time. And so ERP can provide turnkey project management services for any new project or existing redevelopments, whether it's private or public partners, in any type of asset classes. So hotel, residential, commercial, industrial, institutional. So any needs that you would have, you can contact us and we can manage the projects from beginning to end. And lastly, a bit of what ERP is today. With the ODEA property, ERP has evolved into a redevelopment and property management entity. So CREECO sees potential to broaden ERP's activities. The Executive Vice President is on board since January 2025, and we plan to establish a 0 to 5 year strategic plan that will be approved by the end of 2025 and implemented immediately after. So this completes the ERP presentation. Thank you.
Aska gnish kodu kaisped bed madasa yun pajam sinhignan kam so you egnot matsa Tanga biji David Sets game sen G companies go the CREECO with Agnut. Gusten Sulia Dabson Hognud and met energy but Madasm senior Stasunke. Gestan how is Sweden has Sulia and Skumun Sulia is Nugget Sagnut. Jisu during Askum Dams, Case Beden Stoyato, the Case Bed Madata and the Bazim Sin Hignan, Gest and Buxateranga, G. And sits the Megum said one guys Bed Madat. During Askum out and G's board of directors of Board of Compensation got CREECO and said on G. But we signals get so we got Bustagats is we task I'm say company cap. Just Seba Pugni, we watch him out and our board of directors. Gio and Jimmy we watch him go with G companies cap we had all get the management guess have it see so game say it's got on your companies cap. So as we conclude our annual assembly this year, I just want to thank the audience for taking the time to be with us. As you noticed, we shared some company highlights, we shared the financial statements, and we also shared the investment reports. And we hope that this information is useful but also educational to our audience. At this time, I want to thank the Board of Directors for their continued support and trust. And I also want to thank the management of each and every company, our subsidiaries under CREECO, but more importantly, the staff that work for our companies. I wish to thank you all for your continued dedication, and I wish you much success going forward. Precies, moet man het op manga precies zoiets met nanga. Dan hou je daar betalen hebben met dat en hoe companies besides ga. Dus daar we het straight date agwen channel ino je de beusje kes channel ino je met taiko company ga. Asaga usted neem de no jana neas nu jana no pon has kudas jada which suga jis cannot make no that ska jis January ji mbitai ko yo company ka gesta tande ka wits ka jut mbitai kum se yo na sta we am sounds gon jis skumoy gesta jis cannot make no that. Our role as an organization, as a company and an organization that's been over 40 years now, we've come a long way in a short period of time, and we have a lot to be proud of, and we have a lot to celebrate in terms of success, but also in terms of the benefit that we have made towards our nation. Our contributions are not only in the form of monetary benefit, but also experience, business experience. And I think, when we look at the diversity that we have within our organization, is a proven fact that diversity in any business is proven to be of very high value. We technical your company ke msene nako is nako new David Sunan ke ni David Sdom se NG's ga gun nas ningane gnot match gestan how a David Sdom se NG companies ga gnot technical tan how GG's he we don't any stamps ga GG's gnot technique se we go to David Sunoga. Okay, we ook het goeie is het goed maasviat. Hoe de het goeie is niet schemaats en de dat ze zijn uit goeie ke moes ik automatisch ke ik ga minje doe de niet ook en het goeie ik ga doen hier week ook. It is also important to share our experiences, the good and the bad experiences. Experience comes with knowledge, and knowledge comes with wisdom. The wisdom not to repeat what didn't work. As an example. And we want to make sure that we have that ability to share these types of experiences with our audience, but also for future entrepreneurs, that they get to hear firsthand from companies, that are under CREECO. This business can be a very challenging world, and we want to make sure that we can share these experiences with future entrepreneurs. Nastawim sauda we abitsion egnot egnot de ni stamps gest we snagen ge jot pun bit abitsion ge snadmat gest egnot matne you skud majion ke de sit skud mogno ich sni juds de jinat ko ni de abitsion ke se dis we chigdon de ni stamps sit manans gest ni sni juds de jinat ko ni we spide skud masudo de ji page we abitsim gatsid se bed it skagatsid de ni stamps ge de dis Yadon you abitsion a spike okay. We muge when a beat stasud nes mugwe muge yat stats go okay we den signot enanga. Ya then we mianans new abitsion chegis natko amnes spike okay. As we look forward to new opportunities, with every company, we always challenge our companies to look at increasing their numbers in terms of hiring indigenous Cree employees, but also looking at training opportunities for the youth, to expand our operations with the mindset that we have a workforce available within our nation. And a good part of that recruitment will be part of seeking out students with high education to pursue jobs that are of high value. We don't expect to be hiring, individuals at lower management and keep them there. Our goal is to ensure that they can advance within the companies and also have meaningful careers within our companies, and we encourage the youth to pursue those opportunities. Pursue a higher education. And so, with that, once again, I want to thank everyone for taking the time to be with us today, and we hope you enjoyed our annual assembly. And we wish you all a very nice day. Take care. Wajagum so and her, Gaston Buxetem so and Jamie Obido, and she said she guides Gaston Denny stamps, certain scumdan. Wajagum so.